Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners. We're going to open the call to order for the Board of County Commissioners March meeting to order. This time I'll ask the courthouse emergency egress plan from Director Harry Smith.
Good evening. For those of you who may not have attended the county commission meeting before, in the event that we need to evacuate the building, our primary evacuation route is the southern entrance, which is the monument side of the building, and the assembly point will be the parking lot behind the building. Our secondary evacuation route is the stairs across and the elevator, and the assembly point would be the same parking lot. If we need it, we do have an AED downstairs next to the elevator. And just as a note of courtesy, our restrooms are located on the north end of the building, which is this end, on both the first and second floor, and the second floor are handicap accessible. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Director Smith. This time I have a roll call, Madam Clerk.
Somebody have that.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Ron.
No,
We'll have to start again.
just skip item 1 in the voting record and just go on to item 2. Everybody just vote yes because it accidentally jumped forward to the next screen, and once we get that, we can go on.
Just vote yes.
Yep.
It's confirmed.
Where they were trying to fix to make Ronald present.
So item 1 will basically be the roll call.
Yeah.
We shall take that into account. Commissioner Jenkins will be in just later. Mr. Ray Lyons has suffered from a medical situation problem where he has been put to bed. No activities, no contacts. Spoke with the family. They asked him to remember in his prayers, and also that they would appreciate to hold a minimum to almost zero, no contact at the home until the 27th, of which he will be going in front of his team of physicians to find out the exact cause, and that they would keep us abreast of his condition. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Hang on a second before you make the motion, please.
I'm sorry.
I have some additions to add to this. Number 1, under number 11, the resolutions, add D, which will cover the resolution for the deferred compensation plan 2 for 401. And the other is the resolution for the employees deferred compensation plan and trust for 457B. Mention is between 11 and 12, we'll mark it as 11B as in more, and that will be the introduction to the community correction institution. between 12 and 13, we're listed as 12B. It will be the filling of the vacancy for the Equalization Board appointment from the nominee committee. Now, is there anybody that want to take any Commissioner Rickman? Any admissions or additions other than what's been said? If none, the chair will accept the motion.
Second.
Who's the primary?
I'll approve. I was just trying to keep the meeting shorter, sorry, sir.
Motion by Commissioner Mike Hill, seconded by Travis Hill was the second on that, is that correct? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? This time, we'll ask everyone to stand. I'm going to ask Commissioner Willie Campbell if he will have our opening prayers, and keep in mind of our fellow commissioners that are suffering and sick, and also following that would be the pledge of allegiance, which will be led by Commissioner James.
Dear and gracious Father God, Lord, as we bow our heads today, Lord, giving you honor and praise, Lord, that we can approach your throne of grace boldly today, God. Lord, thank you, Lord, that we can put our feet to the floor, Lord, take another breath only by your power today. Lord, we do pray for Brother Lyons, God. We pray, Lord, you have your anointing upon him. Lord, we pray for Brother Johnson, Lord, and Brother Tribute, God. We pray for them. Lord, that you have your anointing on them, Lord. We know you are the great physician. You know, Lord, that you can have it. Lord, we'll just believe in faith that you can do it. Lord, we do pray, Lord, for the leaders of our country. We pray for the leaders of this commission, God, that we seek you and make the decisions that we need to make. Lord, we do pray, Lord, for our president. We pray, Lord, for each and every one, Lord, that's gathered in this building tonight, Lord, that your blessings be upon them and their home, and their peace, Lord, within their homes. Lord, we pray, Lord, for our leaders, God, of our uniformed men, our sheriff, rescue squad, military men and women. God, we pray, God, that you watch over them. Lord, we can never give you enough praise and honor for what you've done for each one of us, God. Lord, we ask these things in your name. Amen. Amen.
Teaching, salute, pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we would like to recognize all elected or appointed official guests. If you would, please stand. Next item is the acceptance of the February meeting minutes. Make a motion. Who's second? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion, comments?
Just a couple of corrections.
Yes, sir.
Page 447, under the animal shelter building 2, should be HVAC instead of HABC. On page 448, says amendment to the motion to send this to the budget committee. Just one budget, please strike one of the other budgets. And then right under that amendment, the motion is not by Commissioner Acuff. Change that to Commissioner Acuff. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hill. Is there any other?
We're off directions, yeah. My 436, I think the pledge was led by Mr. Mike Hill.
You say 446?
436. 436. First second, sorry. 437, managers misspelled. It's, he brought it up, so I was gonna let it go. 445, that's Miss Erin Jack, Mrs. Please, on the agriculture.
I know, but Ms.
Mrs. Please.
On 445, again, Commissioner Garland, what was the correction?
It's Mrs. Erin Jack on hers, just real quick.
Let's see. Who made the initial motion on this? Travis, Commissioner Hill was the second. Who made the initial? Jared Crawford.
Mr. Johnson, move the closer to the microphone, please.
I'll do that. Thank you. Is there any other corrections or omissions or additions? Seeing none, all in favor of acceptance with these corrections as stated, said aye. Aye. All opposed? Madam Clerk, approval of notaries bonds.
Norman Mathers, Charles Ron Stanley, Linda S. Burkfield, George Sheets Jr., Amy Pate, Alexander, Debbie McCoy, Jason L. Holly, Travis B. Holly, Heather S. Honeycutt, Kathy R. Campbell, Amy S. Campbell, Thomas E. Whitehead, Sonja Judy Buell, Joe L. Alexander, Victor D. Strickland, Kimberly D. Fowler, and add Kaylee Cole.
Who's that?
Kaylee, K-A-L-E-E, Cole.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Second. Mr. Grindstaff. Any discussion? If none, all in favor of it, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Pass. Next on the agenda is public comments. If anyone in the public would like to make a podium, speak for the commission, please rise and be recognized. You will be limited to 5 minutes. Mr. Douglas.
Good evening. I think most people up here know me. I'll tell you my first name is Richard, but it's really John Clyde. If you don't know me, you moved in from New York last night. I'm going to make this very quick because Rusty said I only had 5 minutes and I like it. First, I would like to thank everybody for the prayers, the visit, concerns when I had my injury and my recovery. It was really nice. Thanks a lot. You'll need to bear with me tonight because I'm working with half of mine here. Then part of the other half of the Comcast Medical Center. The reason for me being here tonight is we at Vietnam Veterans 824 have kind of got together with the Carter County Army Reserve. They do a great and honorable job, one that every veteran's going to have. These men and women on their own time without pay, not seeking recognition for themselves. Upon family request, our honor guard will come and they will pay tribute to that fallen veteran. Most all of us here tonight have a veteran in the family, or if we have attended a veteran's funeral. If you did, you see Mr. Kelly Green and his group there. They do the 21 gun salute, they fold the flag, have prayer presented, and then taps. It's an honor for each and every veteran. I know every veteran in here Jerry included, that at the end of our time, we sure want that honor. We want the people, the veterans, our brothers and sisters, to give us the proper send-off. These honor guard people, they're few. They're really few. They're rain or shine, snow, hail, they're like a mailman. But they're there. And they're quite a few, and we're not getting no younger out there in that. I would like to join up with them, but being with this accident thing, I'm not going to be able to. But they're leading bodies, they're leading people to, veterans to press off their uniform, shine up their shoes, pass Kelly's inspection, and come and help them out. They're doing a really great job. I think most of us in here have seen that they do a really great job. They do all this on donations, and that's about a 50-50 situation, whether they're going to get a donation or not. I know from times past, they have paid for gas, they have paid for maintenance on vehicles themselves. And you just don't throw a military uniform in the washing machine and the dryer. You have to get those clean, folks. But they pay for that. It's something that's carrying our name, Carter County, and they do an honor for Carter County. Every time they line up and they pull the trigger on those guns and they pass that flag and they play that, they are honoring Carter County and its veterans. I would love for the county commission, in some way possible, to help them with funding for these men and women. I know 3 weeks ago I looked in the paper and Kelly was standing there in his van, more or less pleading for people and funds. That's not right, folks. These are the veterans that have given their lives and walked away from their families and given their time to this great nation. It's not right. So if it's possible that we can get some funding for them in some way, it would greatly be appreciated. And if you want to know the specifics about the Carter County Army Guard, check with Mr. Kelly Green. Kelly, stand up back there, please. He's the leader of the pack back there, a Marine. So being a Marine, you know we're going to stay alive. Thank you for your time and for bearing with me. It's been great.
Thank you, Mr. Duggar. Is there anyone else who would like to come to the podium and speak?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Roy Livingston from Hampton, and I think most of you know me that's the commission. We've been watching the money and stuff here for a few years here and trying to keep up with it. Tonight, I've just been listening, and we've got another problem, seems like, and I don't know just exactly how they're going to approach it, but down the shelter over here, I've been just sitting and listening, and they're trying to come up with stuff that this thing is not right. The building, the equipment and stuff appears to be something wrong somewhere. Now you would think, you ladies and gentlemen, Safeways understands anything about building or anything, should, I think, find out who that built this thing to begin with, who was behind it. And I believe that Radiant Sykes has been the main ones on most of these buildings. And to me, if I wanted to talk to somebody about this, I'd have them standing up here and be questioning. And I think that's the only way you're going to find out. This he said, she said, they said, and you get these commissioners, all of them get all tangled up. sit here tonight and watch. They'll get them confused, then somebody will come along, holler, point of order, and that means holler, yep, and they have no idea what to do. If you think this is wrong, to sit here tonight, but they're gonna wait till all of you are gone if they can, before they start this. But this, you know, they need to act like grown-ups, not kids. Now, some of them are doing, some of these new commissioners is doing a whole lot better than some of the old ones. But now, they're not all in the same boat here. You can pick them out if you watch. Some of them is really trying, but there's more of them not trying. Appears to be that it is trying. And it's your money, all of it, if you're taxpayers, this is your money. And they really need to get somebody in here, but they're probably gonna vote on some stuff tonight. Now, if my memory is correct, there was one guy from a planning commission named Smith, was the project manager over here on this animal shelter and stuff. Now, he should be up here. You should be questioning him. You need to get this straight information, not from he said, she said, and they said. Now, that would be my opinion, to go right to the horse's mouth and you need to know what's going on and not just what somebody's trying to tell you or something. But they were paid, and they were paid well, I'm sure. I'd say quite a bit of money to do this. And those would be the people that I think you should be talking to. I shouldn't even be up here. It should be one of you commissioners up here doing this. This is, to me, when I'm talking this commissioner's job, they should be up here asking these questions and trying to put this thing together. But the new commissioners, some of them are doing real good. But the rest of them will try, or part of the rest, I don't put them all in the same boat. Some of them now really tries. And they've got a hard road to go here because they get everybody confused. As soon as they get them confused, then somebody will holler, point of order, and that means vote to them. And it means yes vote. They holler, yep. And when they get done, they've done made a mess, then they move to the next mess. And this is just the way it goes. If you don't think this is correct, just stay here tonight and watch, stay to the end. And see if you don't see some of this, more than likely here tonight. So I think y'all should pay attention. You're adults and you should act like adults. But go to the horse's mouth if you want to find out something. Don't take this he said, she said, they said. These engineers, these architects and these people, they're the ones that knows what happened. It's my understanding that this one out of the planning commission, if my memory's right, was a project manager I know over the first building over there. They need to be up here. You need to be questioning them. How did some of this stuff happen? If it's not right, how come it ain't right?
Mr. Livingston, I've interrupted, but your 5 minutes is up.
Okay, can I say one more thing, sir?
Your 5 minutes is up, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Is there anyone else in the public that would like to address the commission? Is there anyone else here who would like to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll go to the next item on the agenda. Next item is item 11, which is captioned as resolutions. A, B, C, and D was an add-on. First one is recognition of the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Mr. Kerner.
Okay, this is a resolution in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, April 14 through 20, 2019. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. Whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent on the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Carter County Emergency Communications Center. Whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. Whereas public safety telecommunicators serve as a single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety.
Whereas the Public Safety Telecommunicators of the Carter County Emergency Communications District have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. Whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job during the past year. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners for Carter County, along with Carter County Mayor Russell Barnett, feels it is proper to honor those that provide public safety telecommunications locally and in turn provide them with some much-deserved recognition for the valuable services they provide to the citizens of Carter County on a daily basis. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners for Carter County, Tennessee, meeting in regular session on this the 18th day of March 2019, the lawful quorum of said board being present, with majority voting in the affirmative, that the board, being joined by Carter County Mayor Russell Barnett, hereby adopts this resolution officially designating April 14 through 20, 2019 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Carter County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism help to keep our citizens safe.
I make the motion to accept.
Second.
Who's the second? Mr. Hill. Any comment? If none, we'll now take the vote electronically since it's a resolution. Motion passed. Let's see, item B, I just found out that the young lady,
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to interrupt, the mayor may have something, but I want to say,
I think we just found out she's going to be late into a school activity. We will hold that debate, if she shows up, then we will recognize her. That's fine, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
well, I wanted to, if I can interrupt real quick.
Go ahead.
But I think we have quite a few of those ladies and gentlemen that are here, that are part of that resolution we'll be talking about. I would like, if they would like to stand up and be recognized for their services in this time.
Thank you very much. Next, item C, under 11 for the resolution, honoring the Hampton residents. I think Michael Hill, you the one that made the reading presentation.
I can if you want.
But I'll give you about 10 if you want to.
Oh, sure. Well, all right, so. I'll bring the clicker. I'd like to recognize Mr. Bob Peoples at this time. You want to come on up, sir? The Eastman Hiking and Canoeing Club made me aware of a milestone that's coming up here imminently, where Mr. Peoples, who has perpetuated a hiker hostel and uncounted hours of trail maintenance over the years, he's getting ready to host his 25,000th through hiker on the Appalachian Trail. So wrap your brains around that for a minute. 25,000 people since 1997, right, okay, have come through Dennis Cove and enjoyed hospitality in this man's residence and going on up the trail with a positive impression of Carter County. And the adventure sports and the environmental tourism has become like a really big thing today. This year, I think we're on track, or by the end of next year, to experience something like 10,000 through hikers. Back in '97, maybe 50 people tried in a year. So we've come a long way, baby. Anyway, I'm just extremely pleased to be able to sponsor this resolution. I'm extremely more pleased that the three gentlemen from Hampton have agreed to co-sponsor this with me. because as much as I'd like to claim Bob, he's Hampton's baby. So with that, this is a resolution honoring Mr. Bob Peoples for his service to the citizens of Carter County and the Appalachian Trail hiking community. Whereas Bob Peoples is a bona fide trail legend who owns and operates the legendary Kinkora Hikers Hostel along the Appalachian Trail in the Dennis Cove area of Hampton, Tennessee. And whereas it is projected that in April of 2019, Mr. Peoples will host his 25,000th hiker since the founding of Kinkora Hikers Hostel in 1997. And whereas Mr. Peoples has also served as a trail steward for more than 30 years, during which time he has personally logged thousands of hours of trail maintenance and organized countless groups of current and former hikers in trail maintenance efforts each year. And whereas Mr. Peoples was inducted in the Appalachian Trail Hall of Fame on May the 4th, 2018, being recognized as perhaps the Appalachian Trail's greatest ambassador for the inspiration he instills in others who give back to the trail after experiencing all it has to offer. And whereas he is such a highly respected figure among the Appalachian Trail hiking community, it is said that bears hang Bob Peoples' food bag for him. And whereas it is appropriate for the Carter County Mayor and the Board of Commissioners to honor citizens whose selfless public service has benefited their community and the citizens of Carter County in significant ways. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners for Carter County, Tennessee, meeting in regular session this, the 18th day of March, 2019, with a lawful quorum of said board being present, and with a majority voting in the affirmative, that the board, being joined by Carter County Mayor Russell Barnett, hereby honors Bob Peoples for his ambassadorship for Carter County, his countless hours of public service, and his environmental conservation efforts by which he enriched the lives of the citizens of Carter County and the Appalachian Trail hiking community, and left a legacy for future generations. Co-sponsored by myself, Commissioner Travis Hill, Commissioner Gary Bailey, and Commissioner Randall Jenkins. And do I get the call for this? At this time, I'd like to open the floor for a proper motion and second from the gentleman from Hampton. I think that would be appropriate. And you guys can divvy that up any way you want to.
Thank you, sir.
This is motion for acceptance.
Acceptance of this resolution, yes.
Commissioner Jenkins, you were making the initial motion to it. Second, please. Mr. Hill. Any discussion? If none, go ahead and vote on this resolution for Mr. Peoples.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
I'm indeed honored. And you can tell from this accent, I'm not always been from Hampton. It's good rain.
Randall's signature.
Because from night to night, you have no idea who's going to walk in your door. This past week, on Tuesday night, last week, I had a young man from Japan. On Thursday night, I had a woman in her late 50s from Canada who was nonverbal. Try and do 2,200 miles writing notes of what you need.
Thanks,
It's tough enough with all our facilities, but the people you see out there, it's still unbelievable things in you. It's been good. We're involved more and more with the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail is 2,200 miles long. Carter County has more miles of the Appalachian Trail of any county on the trail on the East Coast. Tennessee Eastman takes care of 134 of those miles, basically from Spivey Gap to the Virginia state line. And we have a number of AT communities, of which Roan Mountain is the most recent in Carter County on the AT. It's involved in geotourism. And one final thing that I'd like to mention to you all, because it's totally different. Elizabethton High School is the first high school working on the trail that is designing, run the paperwork through Forest Service in building the replacement shelter for Cherry Gap shelter at Cherry Gap. They're going to build that in vocational trades and reassemble it on the trail. High schools have never done that. So it's a whole new initiative of getting young people in Carter County involved in the trail. Not only hiking it and fishing it, but helping maintain it and build it. So it's been great. And 25,000 hikers, I've only thrown out 2. Not bad.
This is like the official, here, that's yours. And everybody, we're having a trail festival on the weekend of the 4th of May, and we'll have a little framed version of this that we'll be presenting you then. Hey, spoiler. But hope everybody can come out. It's going to be a nice little festival for the community.
And at 75, I'm one of the rookie maintainers, so anybody less than 75 is more than welcome to come out and join us.
Congratulations.
Also, Mr. Mayor, I noticed that our next recipient, Ms. Taylor Shanks, is arrived. If you would, the item B, in honor of Ms. Shanks, from the Mayor Barnett, and also Commissioner McCaney, which chairs the Education Committee.
Education Committee, I'd like to read the resolution for honoring Taylor Shanks. Whereas Taylor Shanks was one of 8 students selected from over 100 applicants from across Tennessee, Western North Carolina, and Southwest Virginia as a member of the Rhodes Scholars Leadership Program to the class of 2023 at East Tennessee State University. Prestigious 4-year scholarship program designed to challenge and inspire students to grow and develop as future leaders. And whereas the selection process for the Rhodes Scholars Leadership Program is a demanding one that requires nominees to demonstrate a capacity, desire, and drive to be exceptional leaders. And whereas Taylor is currently a senior at Jamaica High School, where she maintains a 4.0 grade point average and will likely be selected as one of the valedictorians for the class of 2019. And whereas during her high school career, Taylor has been active in many extracurricular activities, including Key Club, Future Business Leaders of America, and Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America, where she served as vice president. She also serves as a student representative of the District Planning Commission for the Carter County School System. Whereas Taylor was also a 4-year varsity member of the Lady Rangers softball team, which she helped lead to the state playoffs. And whereas Taylor serves her school community as a student worker in the Comprehensive Development Curriculum Program, where she works with students with special needs. She has also been highly involved in a number of local community service projects and has represented the city of Elizabethton at the Knoxville Teen Board. And whereas in addition to being active in her community, Taylor is also a very active member in her church, where she serves as an assistant choir director and assistant teacher in the nursery program. She enjoys singing Christian music and is a member of the group Forgiven. And whereas it is appropriate for Carter County Mayor and the Board of County Commissioners to recognize and honor local citizens for outstanding accomplishments. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners for Carter County, Tennessee, meeting in regular sessions on this 18th day of March 2019 with a lawful quorum of said board being present and with the majority voting in affirmative, and the board being joined by Carter County Mayor Russell Barnett, hereby honors Taylor Shanks for her many outstanding accomplishments and her selection to the Rhodes Scholars Leadership Program at East Tennessee State University.
You guys have to say, yeah, you can.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion for approval. I have a second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion? All in favor, go ahead and vote electronically. There's a bill vote. 22, so all in favor. Since I'm interested in the league of softball in Carter County, I'd like to ask Ms. Shanks if they won tonight. That's the most exciting part. Did you win?
We won.
Next item is item D, which is the add-on. I'll ask Commissioner Holden, she will come through. This is the resolution, two of them. One is the deferred compensation plan number 2 for 401K. And the other one is in the state of Tennessee is for the fully deferred compensation plan for 457. Mrs. Holden.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, good evening. The Financial Management Committee began to look at these plans about 4 months ago. We heard 2 groups come in 1 month, Edward Jones and Ameriprise. The next month, we invited Nationwide and our state representative for the state plan. I believe you all are with Empower, is that what it's called?
It's a state plan, Empower does a record.
Okay, Empower does the record keeping. So we looked at 4 different groups. We did include the current group. We took into consideration accessibility, how much education they're going to provide to the county employees, what their website looks like, and their fees for taking care of these things for us. With all of those things in consideration and other things, it is the Financial Management Committee's recommendation that we adopt this deferred compensation plan that you should have found on your table this evening to allow the state of Tennessee to handle these things for our county. They can do 457 and 401K, so they provide a lot of different opportunities for our people, and they're going to be here as often as we want them to help us understand these benefits and what this can mean. So at this time, I'm going to let Justin Ball take the podium. He is a representative of the state, and then he, myself, and the finance department will try to entertain any questions that you have.
Commissioner Holden, thank you, yes.
Justin Ball.
Thank you.
And again, my name is Justin Ball. We're with the Tennessee Department of Treasury, and we administer, of course, the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System, as well as the state 401K, 457 plans, along with some other programs as well. State employees, teachers, higher education employees have been in the state's 401K and 457 for a number of years. And in 2012, the state opened up the 401K and 457 for local governments to adopt, just like Carter County and cities and 911 districts, utilities. And since then, we've had about 300 entities come into the plan, and about 60 counties that have come into the state's plan. One of the biggest advantages we feel that the state plan has is a comprehensive retirement education. And really, we come in and we talk about TCRS, and we piggyback on that, the 401K and 457 plan as well. A lot of people will come in to hear the TCRS retirement presentation because they want to know about that. And we can really stress the importance of what a 401k and 457 can do for an employee in their retirement. Because TCRS does not replace 100% of an employee's pre-retirement income, and it's important for them to know that, and when we talk about that. And that's why the 401k and 457 is important. And we kind of comprehensively talk about each of those and how they work to give an employee, you know, their best chance at having a good retirement and saving properly for that. Along with that, another big advantage I think is the state's fee structure is incredibly low because we have so many people in the plan and a large amount of money that we can go in and bargain to drive those fees down. Obviously, with any retirement plan that you will have, there's fee structure there. Our fee structure is extremely low. It's 23 basis points or 0.23%. We do fee comparisons all the time, and I've yet to see anyone that can beat that. And one of the main reasons is the state's not really in it for a profit, obviously. I'm non-commissioned, none of our folks are commissioned. So when we go in to talk about a plan, it's purely from an educational standpoint and not a sales pitch. So those are some of the benefits, I think, to the state plan that we would like to offer to the county.
This is the plan administered by David Lillard.
Yes. So he's the state treasurer.
Approving, because David Lillard is the Secretary of the Treasurer, administers this program, he administers the amount of money that's invested for the employees of the state. He does an excellent job, 20 some years on the job.
He's my boss, so yes, he does.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say I sat through all the meetings, and I agree that their plan is a very good plan. But since that time, I have run into a situation that I would like to bring before the commission, and Ms. Morgan would like to talk a little bit. I've been glad to turn it over to her. But I understand we're going to be doing this over a 5-year period at 20% per year. Is that for 5 years? Is that correct? That's fine. It's going to save us money. I know why we're doing that. But we've got some people who are into the plan right now that may not be here 5 years. They may decide to retire. So I guess I'm wondering how are we going to handle their money? Because they're already involved with it nationwide. So when you start changing it over, you're not going to have their full amount changed over in 5 years. And I think there's 2 or 3 in the courthouse that are involved with that, so we don't want them to lose any of the money.
I believe that they'll be able to draw from both. Maybe a little bit burden on those that are very, very few, but I'll direct that to Financial Director Burt as to answer that question.
As I understand it, of course, the funds will be transferred over 1/5 per year for 5 years. And if we chose to transfer all the funds at once, the county would incur a penalty of $28,000. And we did look at several plans, and we took the employees, county employees as a whole into consideration. You know, what's best for the county employees as a whole? You know, what can we offer them? And we looked at those plans and decided the state was the best. We did not consider employees retiring. We're going through this process. I know it'll be an issue for, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 people. But as a whole, I do believe it's best for the county employees to have a lot of options. They'll be better prepared for retirement. We can start preparing now. And we have, thought this through. Maybe skipped a couple of things, but we have given it a lot of thought and consideration.
Well, I agree with what you said, and I agree that it seems to be an excellent plan, and I want our employees to have a plan, but I also don't want some of the employees to lose any of their funds that they put into this plan we have now.
There'll be no funds lost in the transfer. Funds are transferred over the 5-year period. And the state plan, of course, offers higher interest rates and much lower costs, so whoever transfers over will be coming out to the good.
if you retire before the 5 years is up, will you all wrote all of our money at the time of our retirement, or will we still have to wait to get 20% at a time?
If I understand it correctly, it's 20% at a time, otherwise the county would incur a penalty.
So we're gonna lose money because our nationwide's gonna go down, and our state's not gonna have that much money starting out with.
Say that again.
We're gonna lose money when you start taking that 20% because our nationwide account will go down. We will not withdraw as much interest.
Well, you'd be drawing more interest in the state's plan, plus paying much lower fees.
What's the state's interest?
In the fixed rate account, and the fixed right now is 3.2%.
What I got last year was 3.5 for nationwide.
That's not including the cost, though. Those were about one point, I think.
And we had gotten a letter in December that it was going down from 3.5 to, I couldn't remember exactly how much, but it was lower than 3%. I think they recently decided to go back up to 3, just to keep the business. But we did get a letter that wasn't going to drop.
Mr. Grindstone.
Quick question, it kind of follows there. So if, for instance, if she retires, she'll be retiring out of the nationwide account, plus she'll be retiring out of the Tennessee account. So technically, the money that is transferred over, she'll still have access to that. She'll just be drawing out of both 401ks, 457. Is that correct? Essentially, yeah. Long term, over 5 years, given the fees and given the drops, essentially, if she waits for 5 years, she'd be better off, but regardless, she'll still be able to pull that money. But I mean, but she would still be able, she still has access to the money.
Yeah, and like Brad said, the fixed account in the actual 457 plan of the state is a larger return than you're going to see in nationwide going forward.
May I add also from those meetings, there were several points for nationwide. My understanding, very seldom ever made contact with us as a legislative body or for our financial department as to how the money or the rates of the money or the administrative fees for those monies of the people that work for the county that has invested. That was some of the largest reasons, and it's also the same reason that we're looking in the health insurance on the employees to give better benefits, more benefits, and have them the opportunity to make selections rather than here's your one, that's it. Because the fees was the biggest when we looked at the ones that came in and made the presentation. Their administrative fees were higher. The percentages on some was lower on the return rate of money, and 2 of them, if my memory's right, did not even equal the money market account as far as when the federal raises their rates, they did. Okay.
How about you clarify how this would work for folks that will be retiring within 5 years? Would it be possible for them to continue to roll money, and if they start to take out early, to be able to come out of a nationwide account, that way that they would lose less over the 5 years, since it would be at a lower interest rate, they would be able to earn more on the money that was transferred? How would that actually work out for them?
Actually, it depends on how the nationwide contract that you all have is set up. In terms of from our perspective, the state, if nationwide allows them to do a transfer, a freeze and then transfer, they fill out a transfer form for us and it rolls over. It really depends on how the contract with Carter County is set up, how they allow them to roll it out.
So it is possible that they can actually do individual rollovers from one to the other, rather than doing it as a county as a whole and us incurring a penalty. Do they do their own individual rollovers?
If the plan is frozen to new contributions.
Mr. Burke, we have they submitted nationwide their contract on how this is going to take place?
Yes, Now, we don't have anything as far as a changeover, but we do have, finally got a copy of their contract after multiple requests. It's just been very difficult getting any information from them, lack of cooperation. And currently, I'll give you a few details about the current plan. There are 262 county employees, and there's currently 20 participants in the 457 plan, which is 7.6%. And we know that county employees need to be ready when it comes time for them to retire. And the time to start preparing for that is now. And that was a big deciding factor on changing away from nationwide.
Yeah, I understand that, but, so at the point that they retire, they will be able to do eventually a rollover or something like that, so they don't end up losing, losing out, quote unquote, on the interest rate?
Typically how the $28,000 that they're referring to as a market value adjustment, it's only on the fixed rate account that we have seen with Nationwide. And so, kind of the way that we've been getting around that is to do it over 5-year increments. If you did it all at once, you would incur that.
So it would actually go to the employees that would end up paying that penalty, or would it just be on us with the contract?
It can go to the employee, or the county can choose, sometimes to pay that. It obviously is a hefty sum in this case. And that's why we kind of talked about the 5-year way around that.
Okay, Commissioner Blevins?
Again, we come in here tonight, and it brings this back to, I'm gonna have a chance to look at this. Let's go back to where we are 911 or emergency communication. We come down here and they had this piece of paper out of the meeting, expect us to vote on it. I think we need to look at this and study this more before we just go. I don't have no idea what's even going on here. I think if you're gonna bring something before the commission, I think the things to have to look at and not give it to us 5 minutes before the meeting starts. Expect us to vote on it. That's my opinion on that.
Any other? Commissioner Brown?
Real quick, so moving forward, which I just kind of looking through, it said, I believe the new start date is June 1st of 2019, which I'm not really sure where that came from. Moving forward from that point that this contract takes effect, which on our 401k, in effect, will be freezing contributions that are going into the Nationwide account. All contributions moving forward will be within Power. That in turn could open up other avenues for individuals getting ready to retire, move those funds over without the county and or the individual accruing some sort of fee or some sort of issue or penalty based on some of the, I think what you're saying, but it all depends on what our Nationwide contract says. I kind of agree. I think that this is moving forward for everyone. I think that this is going to be a great idea. I just think that there are a couple other questions that may need to be fleshed out with Nationwide to see what our options are for our individuals and all the time. I've dealt with the Power before. I think that they do good work. I think that they do good managerial work on the aspect. And I think that we are getting better bang for our buck basically for going with them as opposed to continuing with Nationwide. So I appreciate you all looking at that.
And just to clarify on the June 1st date on there, typically it takes about 8 weeks setup process, so we always put a date out there. If the resolution was passed tonight, then that kind of gives us a little bit of time to get everything set up.
My only concern with that is, we do everything on July 1st fiscal year, so whatever our finance guys say is best, it just, whenever you're dealing with, June 30th, July 1st, June 30th, July 1st, you see a date kind of weird and it just kind of flags, so.
And that's not a problem, but since there's no county dollars going in, I think that's why it doesn't go through any kind of budget or anything.
Commissioner Hill?
So is this matter time sensitive to the degree that it requires a decision tonight?
Okay, not June date of the,
Yeah, as long as this resolution was passed by June 1st, then we should be.
So So
you know, we
June is
wouldn't have to
the drop
redo the
dead
resolution.
date. Not even 8 weeks prior to June, but June is the actual.
For that, yeah, for that.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table this and place it on the agenda for next month's meeting for consideration,
I'll second that.
so that everyone's questions might be more clearly answered and people have time to do their due diligence.
Second. Any further,
Just to go along with that, I would appreciate it if Nationwide would be contacted to let the employees know what their options are. Again, I like this plan, I don't have a problem, I'm glad to offer it to our employees, but I want to make sure our current employees are not going to be losing some money, so if you can investigate that and get back with us. Thank you.
motion and a second. Any further discussion or comment? If not, we'll vote on the motion. Motion carried. It will be first table until next month of April or June, be placed in order. At this time, we've been sitting in the session for a little bit over an hour. I'm going to recess for 10 minutes. We'll be back 10 minutes after. Next item from the agenda is add-on, which is 11B. We'll ask Commissioner Woodby if she would come to the podium and make introductions. This will be from the Community Correction Institute. She will give an explanation of what this is.
I'm going to have Christina Peters come up. She's the director of CCI, which is Community Corrections Institute. We did have them come and present budget last week. They have replaced our probation services here in Carter County. They are the new probation services replacing Crossroads. And she's going to give us a little information about what they do and what they're going to be bringing to our county and some positive stuff. Good evening.
Thanks for having me again, second Monday. More people here this evening than last Monday. My name is Christina Peters, and as Patty said, I'm the Director of Corrections for First Tennessee Human Resource Agency. Basically, we've been in your county for 30-something years, 25 years on the felony and criminal court side. An alternative community corrections program through that court. And recently, as of about a month ago, we had the pleasure and the honor of being asked to come provide our misdemeanor services for your county. So we're very excited about it, very humbled by it, and hope to do an excellent job and bring the county many good things. So we have been in existence. I'll just tell you a little bit about ourselves. We are FTHA, First Tennessee Human Resource Agency, is actually it's a quasi-state governmental agency. So Crossroads was a private nonprofit, as I understand. We are a quasi-state government. We are very audited. We have state comptrollers that audit us. We're annually audited by an independent audit firm, Blackburn, Childerston, Stegall. We have, like I said, we have been doing probation services for 30 years, maybe even longer. I've only been here 20s, but I think even longer we've been doing misdemeanor services. We are currently in Washington counties, Washington County, Greene County, and Johnson County. So Carter County is our fourth county to do Sessions Court misdemeanor probation out of. We have historically been with our counties, like I said, for years and years. We have a strong emphasis on accountability with our clients. And that accountability is not only obviously to us to pay probation fees, but also we work closely with all of our clerk's offices to pay court costs and get taxpayers' money, get money back into the county for the crimes that are being committed. We have, I think right now, hired about 4 or 5 new people, and we're trying to make sure that the people that we man to do probation work in your county are from Carter County. We like to keep it in the county, so we're currently we have 1 or 2 people, and we're working on training new employees and getting them in there. And like I said, we're really excited about it. And did I leave anything? The grants. Okay, about 16, 17 years ago, our misdemeanor program designed grants called Community Reinvestment Program grants. And the intent behind that was to be able to give back to other nonprofits in the counties where we do misdemeanor probation work. And the way we do that, quite simply, is so we collect probation fees, and that's how we run. We get no state grant money. We're 100% solely funded by probation fees. And because we're a nonprofit, the margin of profit that we might make, we like to turn that back into money to give back to the communities we serve. In the past 17 years, we've given back in excess of $300,000, and it's to various nonprofits, Boys and Girls Club, CASA, courthouses. It's opened up local courthouses, schools. You name it. We've probably given money away to most nonprofits in some of the counties we serve. So we look forward to being able to do that for the county here. And I guess I can open it up for questions.
Do I understand it right that you are a service from the 1st Tennessee Development District, is that correct?
No, sir, we're from the 1st Tennessee Human Resource Agency. We do the Metrans and Meals on Wheels, and that's some of the local ones you've probably heard of. Corrections is the redheaded stepchildren. A lot of people don't know that as well.
It's a private business because it's unbelievable what they do in your catalog or in your file.
Now, I know Community Corrections offers classes to help offenders. You'll do that as well at CCI?
Yes, we offer, so most misdemeanors are things such as DUI, anger management, domestic violence, driving infractions. So the classes that we currently offer, and we're state licensed through the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse to provide the DUI school and a multi-offender DUI school. We're state licensed through the Department of Safety and Homeland Security to provide the 4 and 8 hour driver's defensive driving courses. We are one of, I think the only, I've heard, but I'm not certain, that there's one other organization in Sullivan County that is certified through, it's called the Coalition to End Domestic Violence and Sexual Abuse. And we're certified to teach batterers intervention. So for perpetrators who commit, and they're mostly aggravated offenses. So we do that. We teach domestic violence, anger management, anti-theft. So whatever charge somebody has, we usually have an educational class for them to attend.
Great.
Yes, sir.
When you get out, is there any way, is some way of clearing the record? Because I know Ford went out on different jobs, the first thing that flashed up, they've been through this program, for whatever reason, you got whatever. And it wasn't brought to really keep it out.
DUIs are non-expendable or non-removable in the state of Tennessee. They are forever.
Drugs.
If you're in Tennessee.
But,
It depends what kind of plea deal you take. You can plea under diversion, which means if you complete the probation and everything that's required through the courts, that charge can be removed. There are certain charges that cannot be removed. They're mandatory charges that stay with you forever. Or if you wait a 5-year period, you can petition the court for expungement based on the judge's discretion. But once again, the individual has to follow through with those. The court does not babysit anyone once they're convicted. It's up to the individual to pursue what they need to do to try to get that removed from their record. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I have one quick question. So you mentioned any leftover funds y'all trying to get back in the form of a grant. Have you ever gave anything to the county as far as sheriff's department or anywhere?
In this county?
Yeah.
No, sir, because we've not worked in this county.
So how
do you go about getting the grant? So what we do at the end of the fiscal year, if there are surplus monies, then we will put that up it's on our website, and I'll notify the judges, I'll notify the clerk's office, and they in turn notify people. We've even, in Washington County, when we first got this started, just to get the word out, we went through the chamber. We could probably do that here as well. And you go on our website, there's a simple grant application, you fill it out, and then we have a committee that comes in. Nobody, that would benefit from getting the grants. We have a committee that comes in and scores them, and we say, this is how much money, this is what people applied for, how do you want to give it, who do you want to give it to, and how much do you want to give to them. And they sign off on it, and we notify you, and usually we have a nice check ceremony in judges' chambers, and it's good, it's a good thing to give back to the community in those ways. That's how you do it.
Any other questions, comments? If none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's probably, I'll let you wait.
Yes, sir.
One question about the funds returned from each county. Does the population of that county determine as to what amount they would receive?
No, does not. It depends on, quite frankly, probation is, and Patty can probably attest to this, the probationers, you try to work with them, hold them accountable. A lot of people think you get 100% of what they're supposed to pay, nowhere near that. So we just do the best we can. Some years are better than others. And then there's just whatever we have left, percentage-wise, we open that up and make it available. And it also depends on how many people apply. If we had $10,000 and 3 people apply, or we had 30 people apply and $3,000, so it's all just how the years are, how good we do, or how well we do.
One more question for Ms. Wood. Now, I've been out into the system for a good while now, and we were talking about crimes removed from records. Some crimes would not be removed from records. Now, are we talking about the term removal and expungement as one and the same?
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Any further? Thank you very much for coming and making the presentation. Item 12 on your agenda is consideration of amended indigent burial policies. You'll find in your packet a sheet giving the description.
Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
I talked to the finance director, he said we're 0 balance in that fund.
In the indigent burial fund.
Yes, we have a budget on the table now for $20,000 put back in the account.
So I make a motion.
Now, hang on a second, motion. You say we have it set for the budget committee,
Budget amendment.
the budget amendment. Mr. Carter, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna make a motion, we send it back to the budget committee and let them set a price or how much they need. Be all right, Brad? Or do you need it?
I think it's on general fund, is it in, we've got it in there, I think we'll approve it when it comes up to it. There's money in there.
Oh, okay.
You may have missed this the night, I mean, this,
I think that came after when he stepped out.
Number 27.
Number 23.
Item 27 on the general fund 101 report there, $2,800 to reallocate funds. So it's in,
Okay. Commissioner Jenkins?
Yes, sir, Jim. This came out of rules and bylaws, and mayor's office and Abby has spearheaded this, and if there's any questions about it, Abby can answer this. She'll do much better than me, but I can make a motion that we approve this policy.
Second. I do not have a motion, I have a second by Commissioner Keel. Any discussion, comments? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Thank you. It is, we do check very closely on this. We look at checklist back here. It's got before it gets approved. And we really, we do a thorough check on them to make sure they're that passing.
But we require since we're in discussion, I know Ms. Colors, Commissioner Colors, that you had your hand up.
No, I was just gonna say this didn't involve money earlier, that was all.
Okay, I'm sorry for overlooking.
No problem.
Restate the motion.
The motion is to accept as written, and also that even though the balance is at 0 presently, it is now in the budget committee for presentation time.
My motion is just to change the policy. Nothing to do with money right now. Let the budget handle that.
Just changing the policy. Policy only, I'm sorry.
This is just the policy out of the rules and bylaws.
Commissioner Holden?
I just want to know if somewhere it's written our definition of a resident of Carter County. Is there any certain restriction on how long they've lived here or what structure they live in or anything like that?
Need for qualifying their address.
Yes, sir.
But they have to be, they can't own, they can't own no vehicles. The family has to fill out a report with the jail home and everything.
In the policy, it's just they lived in Carter County. I mean, we could get into 1,000 different ways of trying to figure out, I mean, by definition, we're indigent, so they really don't own any property. So it's hard to look at addresses and registrations of vehicles, so it's basically they lived in Carter County.
But the funeral home does go over and check this out too.
Should. That's the problem we ran into before, and that's the reason for the change in the policy. It's to make it a much more objective, fair way of divvying these out to the different providers instead of having people get courted and try to get hemmed into certain providers over others. It's essentially treating it in an objective way that we do it the same way every time, and we fairly distribute out these amongst the various providers in the county. That's all it is.
And one of the other changes to the policy, the previous policy we had just said financially unable to provide for burial. It didn't have any monetary guidelines for us to go by, so it was kind of an arbitrary thing of whether this one had enough or did not. When we were going over this policy, I looked up our surrounding counties and some other counties in the state, and most of them included section about does not exceed the monthly allowable income as stated in the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services most current poverty income guidelines, 100% poverty level. This gives us, it has to be this amount instead of, well, this person might qualify and that one doesn't. We've cleared up some vague language in there to try to get it to where we're applying it fairly to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Abbey. Mayor?
So we do a thorough check, we do a check. Check with make sure they have nothing, no bank accounts, real estate, no cars, check the tax bill, and savings, no savings, we check everything, so we make sure before we approve it.
Thank you, Mayor.
The bottom line is the county doesn't have to pay anything. This is a voluntary thing that we do to try to help indigent people. So we try to do the best we can. And the rules are intended to prevent abuse of the policy, that's all.
Any further? If not, we have a motion and a second. We'll do a discussion. And now it's time for vote. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is the add-on 12B. Again, I'm going to ask Ms. Commissioner Woodby to come forward. This is the Equalization Board appointment. She chairs the nomination committee. Inside your package, you should find the applications, and we'll let her announce who they are, just confirm that you have all of them in hand. Commissioner Woodley?
Applications did come through nominating and were approved. We've had some submitted since nominating, so I'll read the names. Richard Todd Smith, B. Wayne Smith, John G. Lewis, Dennis Woodby, Philip Dean Stevens. And each nominee, each application had to be from the 2nd or 6th district. That's what needs to be filled with the Equalization Board.
2nd or 6th?
2nd or 6th.
Second. My question is, on the second page, Mr. Lewis, it says, what is your voting district? It has 11. I hope he did it. That part? Okay, you have it written here 11. Okay, thank you. So, what's your permission forward here? This time we have 4 candidates.
Got 5. Yeah, we had a late submission on my application. It would have been Richard Todd Smith. That was emailed out today.
We have D. Wayne Smith, John Lewis, Dennis Woodby, and Philip Stevens. Is that correct?
D. Wayne Smith. Correct.
We have Commissioner Grindstack.
Quick question. Philip Stevens has listed the voting precinct that he lives in is the 3rd district. However, he's listed a Roan Mountain address as his place of residence.
Maybe if he gets nominated and comes up, he can answer that question. I don't know.
I'm not sure he's here. We did, the nominate committee recommended Johnny Lewis, but we had applications since. It was just, there was, but it's still, my understanding, nomination, they can be recognized from the floor.
Essentially, the nominating committee makes a recommendation to this board, but you all are free to consider any applicants you want to or nominate from the floor. The nominating committee recommended somebody from their committee.
John Lewis was nominated.
John Lewis was recommended by the nominating committee with a majority vote.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Floor open for nominations.
Yes, the floor is open for nomination.
I would like to nominate Mr. Wayne Smith.
Recognize Mr. Lewis.
Second.
I recognize Rick.
Okay, next, Mr. Webb,
You don't need a second on the nomination.
no, you don't have seconds on nominations. Mr. Hill?
Chairman, would be out of order to ask that the applicants that are here to speak before we make nominations?
I will follow the nomination. I have nominated Dr. Mr. Jenkins, Wayne Smith. Any further?
Mr. Campbell had one of them.
Mr. Campbell, I'm sorry.
Mr. Lewis.
Nomination of John G. Lewis. Any others? Mr. Blevins?
Richard Smith.
Speak up, please, Blevins.
Richard Smith.
Any other nominations from the floor?
Nomination cease.
Have a motion, nomination cease. Have a second. Any discussion? All in favor for the nomination cease? Let me know, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Nomination has ceased. Mr. Wayne Smith, present in the audience.
Yes.
Stand by, sir. John G. Lewis, stand by. Mr. John G. Lewis, I know you're here. Richard Smith are here. In that order, I've asked Mr. Wayne Smith, if you will, come to the podium, if you would like to address the committee.
Good evening. I don't know what to tell you, I just appreciate you voting this information board. I don't know, I think the biggest part of it may know me, I served on the election commission for 8 years. I was the county commissioner for 4 years, and been involved in politics in Carter County about all my life, so just appreciate you voting.
John G. Lewis.
Hello, I'm John Lewis from Hampton. I have talked to Mr. Teller about this job, and he says that I'm in the right ballpark, right district. And I'm retired now, and I think I can put my, be fair-minded on the tax, with the taxes. And I always try to keep an open mind on what's going on in the tax thing. And I've been commissioner for 16 years. And if you vote for me, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Next candidate, Mr. Richard Smith, if you would like to address.
I'm glad for the opportunity to talk to you all for just a moment. I know the other two gentlemen you all are acquainted with. Myself, you probably look at me and don't know me from Adam. Many of you all I've known through different paths throughout my past, so I just want to tell you a little bit about me. I spent 25 years as a lay minister in the area as my main area of interest, but also I spent 7 years in the Marine Corps, spent 3 years active, 4 years reserve. 2 years as part of the I&I staff, which is inspector instructor staff. My entire career has been in management of one type or another. I've been in production management, I've been in financial management, I've been in collections management. So I have lots of experience in those areas. I've never dipped my hand or my toe into the political arena except for many years ago. Matter of fact, me and Mr. Smith ran against each other for the school board back in 2006, I believe, wasn't it? Something around that. But some of y'all probably know some stories on me, and I probably know some stories on a couple of you guys. I know that seeing Jerry back there, I've got to talk to him afterwards. I remember Jerry way back from the 80s. And Jerry's looking around. But thank you all very much. I'm just glad to have the opportunity to tell you a
Mr.
little bit
Smith,
about this.
would you mind, excuse me for interrupting, would you mind telling us the stories about this?
I'd be glad to, sir. But I'll have to exclude just myself and Jerry to that after the meeting. He's looking at me right now trying to figure out where he knows me from. I can see that. It wasn't bad, Jerry, I promise. But thank you all very much for your time, and I would appreciate your budget.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Who wrote that? We have 3 candidates been nominated. It's time to vote. We will vote by voice. When you're called on by the roll, you will give the name of the candidate that you wish to place your vote on. If any of the 3 candidates receives 13 votes, that is the majority of the floor and is automatic. If not, the top 2 will go into a second voting session. The lowest get a roll.
We have to have 13 where there's 2 absent.
Yes, sir. 13.
Okay.
Make sure to verify which Smith if they're voting for Smith.
Yes. Is there, do I have to clarify if I messed this up? Your mind boggled, you know how the voting.
Mr. Richardson, I don't know how that goes. No.
If not, Madam Clerk, if you will call the roll. The roll is, remember, your 3 candidates. First one is Wayne Smith. Second one is John G. Lewis. The last speaker was Richard Smith. Is everyone clear on that? Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mark Blevins,
Richard Smith.
Willie Campbell,
Mr. Lewis.
Robert A. Cuff, Nancy Brown,
Lois.
Mike Hill,
Richard Smith.
Eddie Woodby,
Wayne Smith.
Brad Johnson,
Richard Smith.
Ronnie Tribbett,
John Lewis.
Charles Von Cannon,
John Lewis.
Austin James,
Richard Smith.
Isaiah Grindstaff,
Richard Smith.
Jerry Crockett,
Richard.
Ross Garland,
John Lewis.
Ginger Holdren,
John Lewis.
Layla Ward,
Wayne Smith.
Randall Jenkins,
Wayne Smith.
Travis Hill,
Richard Smith.
Gary Bailey,
John Lewis.
I'm sorry,
Lewis.
Ray Lyons, Sonja Culver,
Wayne Smith,
Aaron Frazier,
Richard Smith.
Robert McCamey,
Wayne Smith.
Rick Richardson,
John G. Lewis.
Kelly Collins,
Richard Smith.
Smith voted on.
Okay.
Wayne Smith got 5. John Lewis got 8.
The count from the clerk is Richard Smith receiving 9, John G. Lewis receiving 8, Mr. Wayne Smith receiving 5. I would say, Mr. Wayne Smith, being local, we thank you very much for your consideration, for your time, for applying for this position. This time, we will go back down to clerk and we will call the roll again. We will have 2 votes between John G. Lewis and Richard Smith. Go ahead and call the roll.
Mark Levins,
Richard Smith.
Willie Campbell,
Mr. Lewis.
Nancy Brown,
Lewis.
Mike Hill,
Smith.
Patty Woodley,
Smith.
I'm sorry,
Smith.
Brad Johnson,
Smith.
Ronnie Crivitt,
Lewis.
Ross Montana,
Lewis.
Austin James,
Smith.
Isaiah Grinstead,
Smith.
Jerry Crawford,
Smith.
Ross Garland,
Lewis.
Ginger Hubbard,
Lewis.
Layla Ward,
Smith.
Randall Jenkins,
Smith.
Travis Hill,
Smith.
Gary Bailey,
Smith.
Ray Hines, Sandra Culver,
Smith.
Aaron Frazier,
Smith.
Robert McCain,
Smith.
Rick Richardson,
Lewis.
Kelly Collins,
Smith.
Smith got 14, Lewis got 3. Seven.
The tabulations are Richard Smith receiving 14, John G. Lewis receiving 7.
I think it was 15, so I think it was 15, so.
Recount. Tabulation, Richard Smith, 15, John G. Lewis, 7. Mr. Smith, congratulations on your appointment to the Equalization Board. John G. Lewis, thank you very much for your application. Is there any further? If not, we'll go to the next item on the agenda, which is number 13, is the Gap Creek Park project. Ken Gooch, welcome, Park and Recreation Director, Mr. Mike Mays, from our city agent.
Good evening. Just as soon as Abby gets the presentation on the screen, we'll get started on this. Mike and I are here this evening to tell you about the new park that's being proposed by Carter County Parks and Rec Board and the Elizabeth Parks and Rec Department. And Chris Sherwood, who has been instrumental in getting this project off the ground, is also here this evening and can answer questions. first question, of course, is why build this park at all? There used to be about 900 adult softball players in this county. Now there's no place for them to play, so the handful that are left, well, they go to Johnson City. An adult softball field is badly needed. Next, the park will be located in an area that needs one, on the west side of the county and the city. As a matter of fact, the city recognized this as a critical need in its last recreational plan. Finally, the city is building a softball park that it turns out can only hold 3 fields. Gap Creek Park will provide the crucial 4th field needed for softball tournaments, which we can run either on our own or with Johnson City. Now, with our fields, Johnson City can bring in even bigger tournaments, and we'll be part of the action. Why do it together? Because we have to. We both need it, and neither of us can afford to do it on our own. The county doesn't have the resources, and the city has so many projects in the work that no matter how badly it's needed, there are other things that have just as high a priority. However, working together makes it a different story. Now, the property which the county purchased a year ago in December is just off of Mary Patton Highway here and Old Gap Creek Road. This is West G Street right here and the Tweetsie Trail right beside it. And Gap Creek runs right down this tree line through here. Now, the parking that we're proposing will be on the south side of the creek, separate from the main area of the park, this area right here. This is a mobile home park. This is a very, very steep hillside. There's a small farm on this area right here. Now, it's in the floodplain of Gap Creek. There's a sewer line running right down through the middle of the land. So that means it's useful for one of 2 things. It can be a farm field or it can be a park. As envisioned, the park will have a full-size, lighted, competition-quality softball field as its main feature. There will be a dog park, a walking trail, picnic tables, benches, playgrounds, including areas and equipment specifically for children with disabilities. The Over Mountain Victory Trail runs right through the property, so we'd like to build a monument to the Over Mountain Man. And there's room for other features, and we'll be asking the public about what they would like to have. Now, this is a first rough pass conceptual sketch done by Chris Schiller. Even though the final plan will probably differ significantly, this will give you a good idea of what we'd like to do. The main feature, of course, is the softball park. This is a dog park over here, a large open play area. Let's put a butterfly garden back here. And there's a walking trail completely around the park. Right here, let's put a monument to the Over Mountain Men, and there'll be other features as well. Well, the county owns the property, so we might as well put it to good use. Charlie Maggioli, who's leading the project for the County Parks and Rec Board, and I have spent a lot of time putting together a draft proposal on how to jointly develop and manage the park. But let's be honest, we all know the politics. So, to insulate the park from all that, we're proposing that development authority be given to an independent board with members appointed by the city and the county. Now, both city and county are going to have to give up some power to this board. But we think we need to do that to assure both that neither can be taken advantage of. To make sure that the costs are shared equitably, we'll have a contract in place that specifies each party's responsibility. The county's going to pay X% of the development cost. The city's going to pay Y%. But what's X and Y? I don't know. That's up to you. That's up to the city council. That's up to your negotiators. Whatever they are, though, it's important that we get it settled soon. We're going to be ready to submit a grant request to the state in the spring of 2020. I'll have more to say on that in a minute. It's also important to realize that the park can and almost certainly will be developed over several years, so the costs can be spread out. All I need to get started is a parking lot, a pedestrian bridge across the creek, and a softball field, whether it has lights or not. The rest will come as we can afford it. We'll pay for it with state and private grants, in-kind services, and donations, and we think that will cover at least half the cost. The rest, as noted, will be split between on the basis of a contractually binding formula. Which brings up what you're really interested in, which is how much is it going to cost. Our first pass estimate is $500,000 to $700,000. The county has already spent $75,000. We did that to buy the land, to do the preliminary clearing, and start the design and planning. So for our current purposes, we think we're looking at around $425,000 to $625,000 to finish the park. We think we should be able to get a state local parks and rec fund grant for at least $200,000. And depending on your and the city's allocation in this year's budget, it could be as much as $285,000. We've already identified at least $35,000 in private grants and in-kind services, and we've already received $20,000 from the Tennessee Department of Health. So we think we should be able to raise at least $100,000 from private and other government sources. Volunteer and prison labor, another $50,000, and that leaves between $75,000 and $275,000 for the county and the city to split. Once again, I don't know how much each has to pay because there will be a contractually binding formula that must be followed. Now, when we spread that amount of money over several years, this project is very affordable. The same political problems that could bedevil the development could also bedevil the operation of the park. So we think the independent board should be left in place to operate. It will be free to contract with anyone that wants to, but we anticipate that Elizabeth Parks and Rec will run the park. They have the people, the expertise, and the equipment, so it just makes good sense. To hold down costs, we'll use volunteer and prison labor when we can and look for grants and donations. The remaining expenses are split between the city and county. The city provides A%, the county provides B%. And what those are will be up to you and the negotiators. Now, City Manager Daniel Estes pointed out something I hadn't realized when we put together our proposal. Both city and county have effective vetoes over the park budget because neither is required to contribute a single dime for operations. No matter how much the Gap Creek Park Board requests, the City Council and County Commission will allocate what they allocate, and the board will have to deal with it. But we're recommending that they have the independent authority to do what needs to be done to make up the shortfall. And if they can't, well, they can they could curtail services, or they could even close the park. So every year we expect and intend that there will be a three-way negotiation to determine how much the park will cost. Now, I want to assure you that we have only spent money and done work that you have authorized. The county bought the property with the help of a very welcome $4,000 contribution from the city. By the way, that land was appraised at twice what we paid for it. The County Parks and Rec Board has kept it mowed. We also rented equipment to clean out the brush and small trees, so it was actually in pretty good shape. In January, we placed a contract with a surveying firm and design firm to do the preliminary engineering and planning. The contracts are being managed by this county planning office and should be completed in mid-May, at which time we'll be able to give you better cost estimates. City Parks and Rec is preparing an operations budget estimate, which they expect to have ready sometime this month. Also, the county planning office arranged to have the lumber harvested, and that gave us more than $2,900 to apply to the project. Now, although we've tried to cover the most important issues, there are other things that people are concerned about, so just a quick word. Parking. As you've seen, there's more than enough room for parking on the south side of the creek and easy access from Mary Patton Highway. It's just not an issue. For access, we plan to build a pedestrian-only bridge, and it will cost a fraction of what a vehicle bridge would cost. Vehicle access will be by way of an already approved low-water crossing across the creek or through one of the neighboring properties if the city can get permission from the owners. As for flooding, it's in a floodplain. It's going to flood. We won't build or install anything that is flood-resistant and flood-tolerant. Everything will be designed to survive a flood and be easily and quickly cleaned up and returned to use. Handicap facilities. Even if the state didn't require it, we want to make sure that the park is usable by all of our citizens, including and especially the disabled. That will be an important consideration throughout the park. insurance. It's going to flood, people are going to get hurt, they're going to sue. The city and county will have to figure out how to handle this and put it in the contract. And if things don't work out, in spite of our best intentions and efforts, we have included a clause in the proposed agreement that will govern how we handle a divorce. Of course, the lawyers will have to figure out the details, but we'll have a prenuptial agreement, if you will, already established to enable amicable parting. Well, that's what we're proposing. There's one other thing that needs to be pointed out. As I noted earlier, the city does have a variety of projects that they've been working on for some time. They have just a wealth of things that they can do. The city has not committed to this project. This is one of several possibilities. Now, if we want this park to happen, and this is the first priority of the Parks and Rec Board after we finish Greenbridge Landing in Hampton, if we want it to happen, we have to commit to this park and convince the city that this should be right at the top of their agenda, no matter what else they're working on. So with that, what I'd like to do is ask if you have any questions. Mike and I will be happy to answer them. I'm sure Chris will be happy to chime in if there's anything that you have for him. Yes, sir.
All right, Mike, I've got a couple of questions. What's the current status of the school complex with the city? What's the time frame on that?
That's right. But, you know, right now we did a study, and the study came back, we're looking at about 4.9 million, excuse me, in order to build a 3-field complex. And as Kim was saying, he did a great job explaining this part and the situation we're in. The city itself, we're not only looking at that particular project that's on the table, but we're also looking at improvements to the Coverage Park, which we think will be about 1.5 million to be able to do that, maybe a little bit more than that as well. We also have a Surf Betsy Park project that we've been meeting on, and we're looking at $500,000 for each feature, which at the end of the day, we're looking at 5 features to do that as well. So we have got a lot going on and a lot of great things. And first of all, let me back up just 1 second and say, we appreciate what y'all do and the service you provide the county. You've got a tough job, and I understand there's not that many resources out there, especially when it comes to revenue. But recreation is an extremely important part of our society now, and we have a lot of great things going on. And in this room, we have a lot of great supporters too as well. But this is going to be a tough decision to make for the city. Next month, we'll have a meeting on April the 18th where we actually sit down with council and share with them all these projects that are on the table for their review. And at that time, I hope they'll go ahead and set some priorities so we can move forward as a staff and accomplish what we need to for our citizens.
Okay. Question 2 is, you know, I play softball over here, a lot of people play softball. How fast could a softball field be put up? Coach up an adult softball.
Travis, in this case, pretty quick. You know, it just really depends on funding. This is one of those projects that you know, we'd like to see the field itself laser graded. The study's going on right now. I think Chris was mentioning that they're putting together a plan. This particular field is backed up against that bank, so we got to look at the drainage that comes off that hill side and see what we're dealing with in itself. So that will be a part of that whole plan that the engineering will design.
Okay. And I would add that this land is flat.
Yeah.
It's actually going to take very little preparation to get it ready to go.
On the playground, are you putting an all-access playground, kind of like the West Side School did?
Yes. Yes, that's the intent. We are going to work with a group called Kids Like Us to help develop a playground that will have not necessarily all the features, will be handicapped accessible, but certainly we want to make sure that at least some of the features are for our handicapped kids.
Well, I'd like to make a suggestion that if we get down to this, maybe having a joint session with the city council, with the budget committee, to try to talk out the numbers and what they would be willing to, you know, go into partnership if they want to.
Correct. You know, let me back up to the playground and how important that is. One of the big features is that surface, okay? When you look at the surface itself, that really is important for those kids that with some physical disabilities they may have. But you're looking at the cost of the services as much as equipment alone. You can spend $75,000 in no time, and you're looking at a very small facility. So down the road, if that decisions, if y'all discussing that, just keep that in mind. I mean, that's what makes that facility is the surface itself.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just a one more question. Bathrooms?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Montana?
Mr. Baines, realizing that the only place you can find cheap land would be in a floodplain, I want to remind you that mitigation, and we need to know what mitigation means, if that means a berm, if that means rerouting the creek, what it means. But we do know this, that Happy Valley High School just suffered $100,000 in damage due to the flooding of Buffalo Creek. Doe River in Roan Mountain laid the fence on the ground. Therefore, that was, what, 10,000. So whatever the mitigation is, needs to consider that Gap Creek will flood. If you don't believe it, ask the people that live there that showed up to the National Highway meeting. I never seen that much water in Gap Creek. But
Yes, sir.
it will flood.
Yes, sir. We could not agree more. As I mentioned, flood mitigation will be a critical aspect of the design work. We want to make sure that whatever we build will be flood tolerant and can be easily cleaned and gotten ready for the usage. Yes, Ross?
Excuse me, add to that, the flooding and the specific date when we had the flood, I guess a few weeks ago when Happy Valley Ball Fields flooded. I went down there to the facility. I took several pictures, probably 5 or 6, I guess. I wish I would have provided those for you to give to us here. But the creek was not out of its banks at that time, and this was probably mid-afternoon, which was pretty positive, I thought. You know, not seeing it up any higher than that. But I would like to provide those to you guys at some point, just to see what it was at that time. And I was pretty impressed that it wasn't over.
Thanks, Ross. We heard the same thing as well. We had some individuals take a look at it during that weekend as well. But let me say, yes, ma'am.
That's great, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention this to y'all as far as the overall recreation plan for the city of Elizabeth and the Parks and Rec Department. This was a key thing, was to develop a park on the west side of town. And so that need is there. Now, what council decides to do, I can't answer that question tonight. But I know that's one thing that we recognize of needing, as well as a facility for adult play, even youth play, as a softball field or a baseball field, a small baseball field.
Mr. Hill?
For Mr. Baines, what are the chances that the city will advance this ahead of the existing pipeline of projects?
That's a great question. And you know, my role, all I can do is provide that specific information for them to look at. Like you in this room, you all have different things that you enjoy, especially in the area of recreation. And with the city itself, members of the city council, they have different interests than some others have too. So I tell you, I will go and say that the Covered Bridge Park, you know, we did a study and spent $10,000 3 years ago on that. And that was one of the projects that they're very interested in. But still, we're just going to have to wait and see for that.
Okay, so, well, I had a follow-up question and it left me. I was thinking, I'm not here. Tell them I'm not home. I'll come up with it in a minute. Sorry. It just...
My feeling on that is, if we give an expression to the city that we are really interested in this project, after all, we have already put $75,000 into this project. If we put in a good amount of money into the coming budget, this says to the city that we are really dedicated to doing this project with the city. And that should be an incentive to get them to go.
So my follow-up question, what if they don't prioritize this where you're proposing to have it prioritized? What if the city doesn't put that on a hot list this year? And would it be a no forever or a no until your pipeline was, worked through.
We have something of a chicken or the egg problem, Mike. Somebody has to say go. Now, do we want to do this? Well, the County Parks and Rec Board definitely wants to do it. After we finish Green Bridge Landing, this is our #1 priority. Okay? But it has to be with the city. You gave us last year, our entire budget was $25,000. You gave us another $25,000 specifically for the engineering and planning of this park. Okay? Now, something tells me you are not going to take on the development of this park by yourself. Therefore, it has to be with the city. Now, are we going to say to the city, yes, we want to do this with you? Yes, we're in it. Here is our commitment to do the park. And we put our money where our mouths are.
But what happens?
So what I'm suggesting is that we would like you to commit to doing the project if the city is willing to do it. It's a matter of negotiation, and as Mike said, we've recognized from the time we got started on this that they might say no, that they cannot prioritize this because of other projects. The only way we're going to know is to approach them and ask them to get started on it.
With that, follow up with this, even if it is low on my priority right now, this year, I mean, it doesn't stop us for going for grants.
Correct, and you're right about that.
I mean, that's how this is going to get done.
Yes, and the other thing to think about too is the operations itself of the park. At the end of the day, there's going to be some revenue that's taken in, most likely at that facility, whether it be through pavilion rentals or tournaments such as that. From the city side of it, we're set up where if we break even, that's what we want to do. We just want to manage our facilities and break even and supply recreation to our communities. And so, in our sense, we would be taking the step of maintaining that facility by mowing and the weekly responsibilities that has to take place with that athletic field itself. So, the city will have something in it, but where the question is really is what's up front in it and the creation and development of the park.
Mr. Hill, Travis Hill.
Mike, what would you say the startup cost to build a softball field would be without lights?
I'm sorry, translating it to the person.
What would be the startup cost to build a softball field without lights? Any rough
That's
estimate?
a good one right there. I can give you the license around $85,000 right there alone, but you really got to get in there and see what the surface is like. You got to see how much clay's in there. If there's a lot of rock, which there could be in that particular area, but Travis, I'd have to look at it and get back to you. Plus, the engineer will help us, especially with that bank coming out of here. Ross.
What about an operation cost as far as insurance, like on the regular field that you have now? What does that cost?
And see, we deal with insurance all the time. It's just basically bundled together with all the facilities we have. I can check with TML and find out what that cost will be. But that's another thing to think about. Whoever's maintaining that facility, okay, is going to be the responsible party as far as the insurance goes. I mean, it could come back on us if something's not right.
Now, all of that is subject to negotiation. Whatever contract the city and the county come up with, if, for example, the city was sued for injury at the park, the city and county have in place an agreement how they would divide the costs of defending the case, and also if there was any payments that had to be made in the case. So all of this is subject to negotiation, and we're not going to know what that is until we actually sit down and negotiate an agreement. Okay? Tonight, we're not asking you for any money. All we're asking you for is permission to get started on the negotiations with the city.
Mr. Chair, that leads me to my motion. I'd like to make a motion to proceed with the negotiations with the city of Elizabeth to finish the Gap Creek Park.
You're making this in the form of a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll give you a second.
proceed with the negotiations with the city for the park, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Johnson, may I ask if Chris Schiller has any comments to make?
Yeah, several years ago, we'll break it down with the several preachers out here and stuff that know the first time marriages, and that you have to get through a little counseling prior to getting your marriage license in the state of Tennessee now. Negotiations, conversations, however you want to do it, is probably a good way to approach it. We have to remember that the city of Elizabeth has got some major projects already in the pipeline before we ever purchase this property, so let's keep it in clear mind and go forward from there.
Yes,
Who will be using the ball field, the children or the adults, or who will be using it?
as we foresee it, it will be primarily for adult use.
Adult use, don't
When it is not being used for adults, it could be used for junior use, and it can be used for tournaments. What got this started was a facility for adult softball. Now, will that be the case when we actually get into it? That all remains to be seen.
And let me follow up on the facility use itself. You know, you've got 3 fields close to there at Lions Field, so that could be the 4th field in the area of the tournament play. And then, of course, you would have to do some with your fencing where you bring in some temporary fencing to do a tournament at that site. But the reason that you're hearing a lot about adults is the fact that the only adult field that we had years ago when we had 20-plus teams was located next to the jail. And so we had to really get that filled up because we had some home run hitters that kept, Ross, you didn't play, did you? So we had some guys pounding the ball off the side of the wall at the jail, and we shut the program down. So that's why you keep hearing adult play there, which is.
Yeah, I played that part, I know.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Webb.
To me, again, I'm not being mean or hateful, but to me, again, another situation where kids in Carter County is left out again. And you actually are a lot of them, wait, you actually a lot of them out there. And again, it's the kids that's left out.
Well, no, sir. No, sir.
Who got kids in Carter County?
Actually, you know, this has been a sore point for a long time. This is above my pay grade. Okay. However, the city has maintained for as long as I've had anything to do with it, that almost 2/3 of the users of city parks are county residents. No county child is left out of play in softball or Little League or any other sport because they don't live in the city. They have access to those city parks. They have access to all the city programs.
I'm not saying left out, I'm just saying we're picking something for grown-ups to go out there and play ball.
Not necessarily, sir. I appreciate that question because at least, yes, we have 12 athletic fields that can be used for youth play today. And there are different park facilities. And right now we have 0 fields that can be used for adult play other than the minor league baseball field, which is being used by local high school teams, especially this year with the situation with Happy Valley.
I'm still looking on the board that says vehicle travels through Lowwater Crossing. How do you want to get through, drive the vehicles through?
Yes, sir. Chris has already made arrangements with the state on that.
Campbell, that's already got a TDEC approved for the Tennessee Department of Transportation crossing right there, so.
It's already approved. Ms. Coleman?
That was where I was going with my comment earlier. That creek there is a lot wider than that creek flooded on Gap Creek, Mr. Montana. And if it's kept clean, I don't think there's a problem. I don't know that Clark's Trailer Park's ever been flooded. So I think we're in good shape down there.
Mr. Hill?
Mike, what kind of burden that put on your staff if we had to, clean the bathrooms, pick up the trash, mow the fields?
Bathrooms, we have added so many bathrooms in recent years, and you've got to really be on top of them because, in 2 hours, you can go in and clean them up, and in 2 hours they're destroyed. But we're aware of that. We've discussed it. It would take a mowing crew of 2, most likely. Mowed for sure once a week. That's what we're doing now, the various parts that we have. So there'll be some additional work there, but hopefully, you know, look for volunteers as well. This is going to be set up for a volunteer committee that's assisting us with the project. We hope that the community will really get involved in it.
I know your staff does a great job, so.
Thanks, thanks so much.
Mr. Maines, Commissioners, keep your question in line with the motion. We'll get them outside the perimeter.
I think the sheriff wanted
The
to.
motion is, in fact, that it is to negotiate with the city. So look at your question line. You're not talking about negotiating, you still want to know the preliminary and the engineering and the functions that you can discuss offline.
I think the sheriff needs to make a comment.
I was just gonna say, I helped in on circumstances, clean up, mold, and things of that sort, cleaning up the creek.
Real quick, one thing we have overlooked a little bit, this might be a little offline, but the dog park, very popular trends these days, larger cities, there's really people that want to see those in their towns. That's something we don't have now.
We almost had a grant request for $25,000 ready for that. And my understanding is that if we apply, we're almost certain to get it.
And I would agree with Ross, you can see that quite a bit as far as maintenance goes for dog parks. They're very inexpensive to most of the degree, except for the fencing and some other features you can put in the park itself.
Okay. I have, in one issue, I'm going to take up Mr. Blevins about adult softball. How else do you expect us old fathers to break legs and hips and get nursing homes?
Mr. Chairman, a lot of that, I mean, I was sitting here counting, I'm sure there's 15 baseball and softball fields for the children throughout the county. I might be missing one or two.
You're close on
15? How many for the adults?
Okay, we have discussed it, I think, thoroughly, and we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Deacon, by Commissioner Frazier. If you would, we'll vote on the motion. Vote 28, 1 matter, 1 abstain. Motion passed, gentlemen. Negotiations can begin from start.
On behalf of the County Parks and Rec Board, we thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Chair, we have been sitting in the saddle for an hour and 15 minutes. Let's take 5. Try not to leave the window. Let's get stretched out.
Well, we got kind of hardwired it in for us, and pumping, so it's not pumps in working order. Other than that, any questions for me? So I'll leave the rest over to my chairman of the committees. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Next item on the agenda, we'll start our committee reports. First one on the line is the budget. Mr. Garland.
Let me start with agriculture real quick. I know we got Vicki, she may want to take off after this, and not have to sit around too much longer. Agriculture, we met, let's see, about a month ago, right after our last commission meeting on Tuesday. And she was kind enough to present the minutes. I think she laid them out on the table for everybody. I sent an email this afternoon, got those a little bit late. But you should have those. Just going to cover a couple of things. We went over, approved the appointments from that, the nominations, and establishing new positions for that. We're in extension month right now, which is in March, and we've got programs going on, lots of stuff happening. You'll mention, which is, this is at the bottom, Carter County Chamber Breakfast, the Chamber of Commerce Breakfast, March 28th. And is that at your office?
No, it's gonna be a fine, we'll just have
At the hospital, at Sigmore Shoals? Okay. And then those usually start pretty early, 7:30, 7 o'clock?
7:30, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, so if you'd like to attend that. The open house, I will mention that, was a fantastic event that they had. Great turnout. I don't know how many people came through there, but there was a lot of activity, a lot of interested people. A lot of people just wanted to come and check out the old house and see how it was, and everybody impressed with the updates and things that have been going on down there. Program updates, you can check all those out. Only one I really highlighted is the ETNA plant auction, April 13th at Sycamore Shoals. Really fun event if you're into plants or trees. They've got a lot of varieties, so go check it out. 4-H program update, Youth Art Walk on April 27th from 6 to 8. I thought sounded pretty neat. And then on the back page, Tractor Supply Camp fundraiser, March 27th through April 7th to help raise some money for 4-H camps. I think that at our Tractor Supply in Elizabeth. So go check them out, help them out there, or you can donate. And they do take scholarships, so if anybody was willing or wanted to help those kids out, that is an available option. And we will meet again May 14th, be our next meeting. Any questions for agriculture? Move on to budget. And we'll follow along. I've got, the packet is in there. I'll kind of follow it the best I can. If you got any questions, go on, I'll tell you real quick. First item, budget committee. I'll put this in the form of a motion to secure a contract with Securus Technologies for inmate telephone service. The Sheriff's Department receives revenue from this contract.
I'll second. Who's second?
It's not,
I did. I think there's no about. Sure.
we did not get complete security, talked it on the phone with them all day today, and it had to do with scanning of the mail from the inmates, system that we got to get in place, and we get it done, so we're going to have to resubmit. We'll do it next month. Get it done next month.
That's, yeah, I think we're waiting on that
Remember,
resolution.
y'all asked me, I told you we were going to try to get it done Monday, and Tom, or just tell off, but just get it done, and letting out, something to do with security. I apologize.
That's all right. That was a long meeting Monday night. I forgot about that. Okay. Let me take that off the table there. That motion. Moving on. A motion to take $952.56 from general fund unassigned fund balance to pay for an email software package for the county commission. That formal motion.
I'll second that.
Second by Jacob. Commissioner Jenkins. Any discussion? Here is none. We vote. It passed 19 yeas.
Next item is motion to approve amended in lieu of performance bond for the Carter County Elizabethton landfill. Put that in formal motion.
I'll second. Second, Brian Stiles. Any discussion?
What was that motion again? I'm sorry.
To approve the amended in lieu of performance bond for the Carter County Elizabethton landfill. And that's provided in that, the budget report there, if you want to take a look at that. It's just a read, no new money or anything like that.
Any further discussion? If not, vote. You will vote. Ayes 22.
All right, and the next item is to approve a copier lease for the planning office. Put that in form of motion.
Second.
That is included as well in the packet.
Second by Ms. Any discussion? Seeing none, vote.
All ayes, and I think the budget calendar, did everybody get a chance to get a copy of that in their packet as well? Okay. That we had to change the date. We took Sheriff's Department off of the April 8th date originally and moved them to their own date on April 22nd. And I will put that in form of motion to approve this 2019-2020 budget calendar.
Second. Second by Commissioner Hill. Any discussion? Comments? No further? Vote. Motion passes 22.
And we'll add those are certainly open to everyone if they would like to attend those first of all, April 1st. Next item, moving on to this will be the amendments if you want to follow those. If you have any questions, please ask. And the first item, a motion to approve General Fund 101, Amendment Number 9. 29 items for a total of $591,300.83. 9 items, $171,647.75 coming from fund balance. 6 of those for $19,676.42 from the unassigned fund balance. And those start to cover matching grants, provide additional funding to the following categories: county buildings, ag extension, county corner, animal shelter. That form of motion.
I have a motion, second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion?
That did include the variables. That was item 27, I think, the 2,800 for that.
Question not as far as the animal shelter is concerned. The contractual agreement between the city and the county, these funds that we're spending, does that come into play at all?
What was the question?
Well, the question is, you have 19,000, this is 19,000 and something that's going to the animal shelter, is that correct? 34? Is it 34? Yeah, 34,000. Does it?
That was, I can answer that question. That was funds that we requested to be reserved last spring from the animal shelter budget.
Any further?
I'm still not.
Commissioner Jenkins?
I'm still not clear.
On my question,
Yes.
my question was, keep in mind the contractual agreement between the city and the county. When we spend funds from our general fund or from our unassigned fund balance, are we within contractual agreement with the city? Do they pay a portion? Do we not?
It is not set up on a percentage.
It's not on.
Portion is a one-time expenditure by the city. That's something I would like to look at in the future on a percentage basis.
Well, let me add something to that. It is true that the funding is set on a percentage and it's not specified, but there is a specific section in our agreement for major structural items, roof, and HVAC that says 50-50 funded city county. Just for your information. That is the current agreement that's in place.
And we will take that to the meeting. But this is funds that we have asked to be set aside last spring.
What was those funds for?
HVAC system, because we knew it was
Last
last.
spring?
Yeah. Well, we knew that we were going to have to get something done because you remember all the pipes froze last winter and we had all the problems last winter, so we knew we had the problem. So we asked that it be set aside until we could figure out what to do and how much we had to do.
Yes, the city's supposed to pay 50%.
That, we just heard that. We will take that to the board at the meeting next week.
Mr. Baker?
Can we go on and get 29 and come back to that and just?
You want to take that one out to vote on?
Take this one out, let's go on through 28. So that way everybody's clear on what's going on.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. The motion will be to accept 1 through 28.
Yeah.
And, of course, that'll be minus $34,000.
Minus 34, that come out of the unassigned, any of that come out of the unassigned, or is it all under?
$834, my mistake. Unassigned fund balance, yes, right there in front of it.
So, how much of what lines 1 through 28 come out of the unassigned fund balance? Or?
Minus 834.
Oh, 834.
Yeah, 834 minus the 676.42 minus the 834. That'll become unassigned fund balance. Items 1 through 28. Yes, ma'am.
You place that form of the motion?
Yes.
Do we have a second to that?
Do we not need a motion to set aside that item?
The motion was to set aside number 29, that the motion covered was from 1 to 28, is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Let me take that motion back and we'll set aside number 29 from these amendments. And we'll vote on it separate. That's my motion. I got a second from Mr. Blevins. Mrs. Carter,
No, you just have to.
second.
You're doing one.
We're taking 29 out of this 1 through 28 right here.
When you're taking 29,000.
I'm sorry. Item 29, we're taking it off the end of this. And we'll vote on it separate. The motion will be to approve, to take this out. That's the motion right now.
So all I'm leaving you is 1 through 28.
Well, the motion now is to take this one out right now.
Yeah, I think the motion is just to remove item 29, and somebody needs a second if they need.
Go ahead and already second
So
that.
vote on that.
Any discussion?
Yeah,
Just to remove item 29 from the budget.
No discussion? We'll vote. This is to take item number 29 total. That up.
Just taking item 29 on.
Motion passed.
all right. I will put in the form of motion to accept items 1 through 28, General Fund 101. I don't have the exact number on that. Somebody punch that in real quick, please.
Motion is for items
1 through 28.
Items 1 through 28 will total $557,300.83.
550,000.
Okay. Patsy, I think that total, 557, 383, and 83 cents, 1 through 28. $145,647.75 will come from general fund balance. With that, $18,842.42 coming from unassigned general fund balance.
18,000.
Ross, can you restate that?
842.
Ross, can you restate that first number, the 557 number?
Just a second. 18,842.42.
First number was 557, 383, 83.
300.
300.
Yeah, so it's $557,300.83.
Right, correct.
300.
Not 383, 800.
All right, you have a motion on the floor for 1 through 28, total 557, 383 cents. And I have a second by Commissioner Blevins. Do I have any further discussion? If none, vote. 1 through 28.
Frazier, please.
Passed 21.
And next item, I'll put the form of a motion to appropriate reserves and unassigned fund balance for HVAC renovations at the animal shelter for a total of $834 coming from unassigned fund balance.
834. All right, that's a motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Carter, any discussion? Commissioner Freitas?
So the $34,000 was just moved to a different line item in the budget, basically just moving money around, just an additional $834.
Using the portion of funds that were restricted from last year, that number of appropriations, $33,166.
Clark, you have a question?
Yeah, this money was already appropriated last year, but.
Yeah, the 834 would have to come from unassigned 34.
Okay.
Any vote? Seeing none, vote. Item number 29. Passed 20.
Thank you for passing that. Next item is to approve solid waste and sanitation fund 116, amendment number 4, 5 items for a total of $288,236.16. 2 items, $29,814.88 coming from unassigned fund balance. And that is the unassigned money to purchase equipment and provide additional funding within the landfill category.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Colors.
How much you say because of fund balance?
Unassigned, $29,814.88.
Any vote? If none, vote on the motion. Motion carries 22.
The next item is to approve Drug Control Fund 122, Amendment Number 5, one item for a total of $499.03. Nothing coming from fund balance. Put that in form of motion.
Motion second. Any discussion? Seeing none, vote on the motion.
I have a question. Is it just my paper, or is there something wrong with this? Because I have drug fund, and then I have donations for animal shelter.
So start from 122, then item 1 says donations, and the other is the animal food supplies. That's all I read.
Is that correct?
Appropriate those donations.
From the drug fund?
Right.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Is that to feed the drug dogs, Sheriff? I think is what that's for. Thank you.
That's that stuff that goes soft where you throw it and it goes.
Next item, now put in the form of a motion to approve Highway and Public Works Fund 131, Amendment Number 4, 5 items for a total of $411,254.24. $22,415.44 coming from unassigned fund balance. The unassigned fund balance to pay an increase in workers' comp insurance premiums and a small number for the bridge grant matching fund. Second.
Mr. Trivett, have a second?
I made the motion, Mr. Trivett, with the second.
Mr. Trivett, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, vote on the motion. Motion carries.
Next item, I'll put in the form of a motion to approve General Purpose School Fund 141, Amendment Number 7, 24 items for a total of $1,517,787.68. 7 items and $142,733.80 coming from the General Purpose Fund balance. 6 of those and $124,733.80 from unassigned fund balance. That was used to pay various non-employee insurance premiums and provide additional funding to reconcile some categories of departments there.
I'll second.
Second. Commissioner Blevins, any discussion?
Is this the unassigned school fund balance, Ross?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any vote? Seeing none, vote on the motion. Motion carried. 22.
Next item, put in the form of a motion is to approve Fund 142, Amendment Number 3, one item, $2,677. Nothing coming from fund balance.
I'll second it. Have a second?
Second by Mr. Trivett.
What's it for? What's it for?
That should be the federal grants.
Those items that you placed in the form of motion are not in the packet of the other commissioners. Is that
Yeah, I
correct?
think it must have been left out of that budget report today, but it is in the minutes. A motion by Mr. Lyons, second by Travis Hill.
What is the amount? You say it's not in the minutes.
2,677.
I'm sorry?
2,677.
Nothing coming from fund balance.
Revenue and appropriation. Right in the
Got a second?
I'll say Marvin. I think Ronnie seconded it.
Ronnie, would you mind speaking up when you do, because I'm not second if you are speaking, so that helps slow down. Have a second, any discussion? Seeing none, but on the motion. Motion carries, move on. You have any other, Mr. Gardner?
Yeah, I got one more. Actually, maybe another one after this one, but the last one, I'll put in the form of a motion to approve monetary and product donations made to the animal shelter and monetary donations to the drug control fund and general purpose school fund. Donations to the animal shelter are to receive from the Friends of the Shelter, I think. And that was for $7,713.78. That was to reconcile that account where there was a shortage.
Second.
Have a motion, I have a second, any discussion? Second one by Commissioner Carter.
A second.
Vote on the motion. Commissioner Frazier.
I hate to bring up old business again, but as far as it goes for General Fund 101, budget amendment number 9, at a quick glance, I started noticing the unassigned fund balances and the totals, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like in the individual items, it actually comes up to considerably more than what the unassigned actual total fund balance was. By about, it looks like, from Mr. Hill looked at it as well, and it looks like that item number 3, about $8,600 was left off of that final total.
You're talking about the General Fund 101?
Yes, and the other and the amount coming out of the unassigned fund balance. Because there was, if you'll notice, there's $8,600 on item 3. 82,9, 85,38 on item 17. Yeah, online they do. Both of them are saying 39,000. So it's unassigned fund balance. Sorry, 101. And what are the other ones? One on item 26 for 74,1204. And item 24 for 2310. And then item 29, 834, which I understand that we removed, but in this original document it was in there. And it looks like it comes up to more than the roughly 20 grand that's listed there. I don't have my phone died, so I don't have a calculator, so I couldn't do it, so.
When I add on up, Brad, I got out 28,276.42, we took the original 19,000 off, left 8,600, which is on item 3.
What'd you come up with?
28,276.42, get all the unassigned fund balances up,
Does that include 834?
Yes.
with 834.
Oh, without 834, I got over 27,442.42.
Correct, which would still be about 8,600. So,
I guess we just need to amend that total,
yeah,
the 1 through 28, right?
yep.
So this is from unassigned right here. Correct. That's way.
I don't think they voted on it last
What was it?
Did you vote? Did they take a vote on the donation?
Yes.
That's the vote on the board.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I can give a different total right there for fund balance. I think that, the total's still the same. It's just more coming from unassigned fund balance. If you can just reconcile that for the minutes. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, and just the motion where it's actually said correctly as well, because with the amount coming out of the unassigned fund balance.
I
think we can do that.
Unassigned fund balance, what is the number?
I come up with 27,442.42 for the first one through 28. And 834 for that item 29. Is that correct, Brad?
That's right.
27,
442.42.
what was on the original motion?
The original motion amounts to 834, 1 through 28.
18,842.42, I believe.
Yeah, 18,842 and 42 cents.
We just basically did that $8,600 to that total. Coming from something.
Which brings us to $27,442.42. We need to restate the motion. We got no clue where we're at. 557 would be the total, right? 557. 27,000. Okay. Well, I will put in the form of a motion to approve the corrected numbers for the general purpose. The general fund number 101. This is items 1 through 28, right? Those totals are total of $557,300.83 with $27,442.42 coming from unassigned fund balance.
Say that figure one more time.
$27,442.42.
Where's that coming from?
Unassigned fund balance.
Okay. That was correct, the previous motion.
Yes.
I have a second on the correction. Second. Any discussion?
So to restate the motion, we are now just voting that we approve of the corrected
We're
figures.
making a correction to the with the original motion when they separated number 29 from 1 through 28. It was getting wrong, correct? Mr. Hill?
I believe it was Mr. Frazier, checking all the unassigned fund balance numbers and noticed there was more than what was originally. So once we add them up and subtracted the original total, it shows that we paid 600 short.
Okay, so the unassigned fund balance at 27,442, 42, you all agree with that?
That was the original, yes.
Somebody say yes or no, you need a sign. Okay. Any further discussion? All right, vote to correct the motion. Motion passes 20. Is that it, Mr. Ross?
Easy enough there. I think Mr. Trivett may have something he may want to bring up.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion this time that we put the color guard, the guys that's here tonight, well, I'd like to have them put on the agenda to come before the next budget committee, present how much money they would like or whatever.
Motion on the floor, second. Mr. Hill?
We talked to them earlier, they're going to get a packet from Brad to come before us on the 1st.
Okay.
Seek donations.
Outside agency then?
Yes, they're going to come as outside agencies.
That's all right, John.
What's that?
All right, that's already, Commissioner Trippett, that's already been arranged, so your motion is not necessary if you accept that.
You okay with that, Ronnie?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Take that. Okay.
Any further for the budget?
No, sorry for the confusion there.
Next in line, building and grounds. Anything other than what's reported in the minutes in the packet?
As the mayor has already reported, we had to do a repair at the ag extension office, Folsom Building, whatever you want to call it. According to the charges I received a statement for, saw a statement for, the labor was $2,025. Materials was $5,175. And the total is $7,200. And yes, that will come from the unfounded balance, plus the mayor has a budget I don't know about. I mean, it's something that had to be done. There were funds in the budget already. There were already funds in the budget. Okay, good deal. The other items was potential egress door in the clerk master's office, also servicing Chancellor Rainbow's office. Don't have an expense yet on that. I haven't seen one.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak on that? I went ahead and put that on because Chancellor requested it. Also, it is a fire exit. It'll be put before the historical committee so we can get approval on that, and then we'll have an exact cost to see what they're going to require us to do. It is going to be on the back of the building, so it's been preliminary approved.
Sir? to go to replace the window.
I have a question. Will register of deeds also be getting that type of an exit? They don't have it. They don't have it. Yeah. Do they have
But then the
it?
last time we did a building back here, several years ago, about, 3, yeah, they have an exit, they have an exit. It's not correct.
And I think the mayor wanted to give an update on the Matheson property and the Snap-on Tools project.
As far as Snap-on Tools project, CDC portion of it, we've moved forward into the phase 2 of the environmental study, and that is in process at this time, sir.
And finally, Sluter property update. You want to comment?
The best update we can give you right now on Sluter property, we did have the majority of the brush cut and preparing to take down 2 trees. We're trying to find someone who's qualified to drop those 2 trees within the power line. We're going to try to work them out later, see if we can get the building and listen to everything.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Richardson. Next, Commissioner McCamey, Education. If there's anything other than what you need to say.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak on one other thing?
Yes, while she
Building
comes
the
up.
ground.
Go ahead.
It was brought before the building to ground, or excuse me, through the budget committee, a request for, sneeze guards, or really not protective guards, and it was brought in a motion to meet with all the other, fee officers about doing this. Ms. Googe, on her expansion, or not the expansion of that portion, but the way the expansion of the, single entry is going to be, she requested a glass barrier, and it'll actually function as an additional clerk's desk there. So she had that, the original request was from Randall Lewis, trustee. The plans he had did not meet the criteria of what he has existing in his office. So if we went with those plans, we'd have to revamp the whole top. I got with Dan Zimmerman, I don't know if you remember Dan, Keller Alaska, he's now CEO. I called him, he's going to personally come over and give us a quote and a new design, and forget about what the architect actually designed.
Thank you. Commissioner McCamey.
Try to make this quick. I know everybody's ready. I'm gonna let Mr. Dr. Ward talk to you about the strategic plan that should be in your packet.
If you look in the packet, I'm not going to go over this line item for right now. I'll give you a pretty good idea of how this was developed, and then if you have questions, we'll answer any questions that you have. First page, if you look at the top of the page, Board of Education goals. This was a session that we did back in back in January or in December. Randall Bennett, Tennessee School Board Association, a lawyer, and the central office staff and the board. And in that session, what basically did, we worked with the board, established 5 goals. And on the very top of the page, you'll see what the 5 goals, what they are: the culture of safety, academic achievement, technology, the embracement of technology, and increase equitable career technical education, and then increase student and staff retention. As you look from there, the objectives, we worked on several occasions, and after the initial meeting, our staff went back and we worked in the objectives that applied to safety. Now, as you look down each one of those lines, I think there's a total of 6. We did that for each one of the board goals. Now, what is very important to remember about this 5-year plan, this is a working document. It doesn't mean it has to be readdressed or worked on at the end of the next 5 years. Future directors, future boards, this is a working document where it can be changed on a yearly basis. And we'll revisit this, the board and myself, and work in, see some of the areas in which we have talked about in terms of, see what we have accomplished, and then see what we want to add, what the board wants to add, and then go from there. So this is just an overall working document that addresses those 5 major areas. If you've had a chance to look at it, a lot of the AMOs, which is annual measurable objectives, that's based on the state of Tennessee. That's what they set for our grade level spans. We have listed the AMOs that the state has set for us. Doesn't mean that that is our goal, it means that's the minimum that the state has set. So that would be the minimum we were targeting. Are there any questions about this 5-year plan and what it addresses? I had a question somebody had asked me, and I'll just go ahead and let you know. They said, why haven't you addressed facilities? This is not a facility plan. That plan would have to be a completely separate plan. And, we will we address facilities on a yearly basis as we deal with our referendum money and start prioritizing for the next school year. Next school year, basically everything that we have projected or planned for will be the update and the maintenance of our roofs. So, any questions?
I have one, Dr.
Yes.
Are they planning to do anything of new construction in the facility plant in your own?
What, as we get into this budget, and we have gotten into this budget, Brad and I have sat down with my staff, and we have looked at this budget, and I have mentioned this before, and we have a very, very challenging budget coming up. We're right now, I think, approximately 1.2, 1.3 million, that's correct, Brad, that we're working from the red with. Now, as we meet, I have gathered the information. I have, got information that I will be sharing with the board as we meet and as we sit down, as we look at the line items, BEP funded line items. Let me give you one example. BEP funds us 1.5 teachers. I'm sorry, 1.5 nurses. We get 1.5 nurse in our BEP funds. In order to cover the needs that we have in the county, we have 12 nurses, school nurses that's on the staff. That's just one example. And the reason we have to have 12 is because Little Milligan is at a location that's out there that we can't really share with nobody else. Has got 1 or 2 severe diabetic children. And the needs for nurses today versus back when some of us was in school, we didn't see a whole lot of food allergies. We have other allergies and some of the other allergies. We didn't see the diabetics. But there's a whole lot of kids coming in nowadays with health concerns, with problems that we don't have to address in the past. So what we're going to be doing as we're working forward is we're going to be taking our BEP worksheet from last June, and we're going to be looking. And Brad, to answer your question, that is a continual work in progress. And what I would like to see is a comprehensive facility study. And it's, at a right particular point in time, the board and I will address that in terms of a plan.
Any other?
Nothing else? Okay, we're going to meet.
I don't know if it's wage or able, but, we pod, check rate. We've got, I know you've looked at it, I'm not, but it's something, we need to look at it, we need to address there, we'll not get rid of it. Look up and try to pick the can up, or somebody said, for the trash can.
I agree. For the last 7 years. I think it's been a discussion on an annual basis that we've had in terms of getting rid of some of the modulars. We toured Hunter, and we've toured several locations, Valley Forge, Hampton. They all have, some of them has more updated classrooms, modular classrooms, but some of them are still operating out of the old 1970 model handling units.
Dr. Ward, any kind of bond work or anything we do to do any kind of major school renovations, is there a portion we have to fund the city schools on that? Is there a percentage?
Yeah, we have a bond outlay that our funding, this funding body does for the school system. I think the percentage now is somewhere around 31-32%. Pretty close, Brad. 34%, so it's actually went up, so it's 34% that goes to the city.
Well, basically, whatever it was $1 million, we had that 34% on top of that.
$340,000 goes to the city.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess got two board members sit here. This is a developing conversation, and I'm not. We're not dragging our feet. We're not trying to kick the can down the road. This budget is going to force us to take a hard look, and it's going to force me to have to make some hard and some strong recommendations. And as we move forward and we get into this budget, as we meet sometime here with the board, get nothing but a board workshop for the budget, we're going to get deeper into that conversation about a comprehensive, when I say comprehensive, I'm talking about a program that would pretty much affect all of Carter County schools. Because, there's we're at the point right now where we can't go in and just fix a piece of it. That's my opinion.
Say, I wasn't you for damage for what you do. I personally don't do my job.
I understand, and I appreciate it, and I share the same concerns. When we do the facilities, and the particular day that was at Hunter, it was raining, and we had a couple of those classrooms that had roof leaks.
Yeah.
And anytime we have roof leaks, that's first priority. Got to get those roof leaks fixed because we don't want kids, number one, sitting in the classroom with a roof leak, but we know what roof leaks cause. If you read papers, Sullivan North, I think it was, most recently had a very, very serious problem based on HVAC condensation line leaks or whatever it was, the roof leak. Mr. Bennett.
Over the last 10 years, just so it's correct, basically, how many students have we lost, or this number is coming down?
I could go back as far as 1997 using the Horizon database when we had to switch from Horizon to the current. In 22 years, we've lost 1,340 kids. And if you take that and you average it, that's going to be approximately 57 kids a year. Some years more, some years less. That 57 kids would equate to about $440,000. And to date, today, that total figure would be in the last 22 years since 90, 96, 97, 21 years, that's about $9.3, $9.4 million.
And we have the same amount of facilities.
With the exception of one. Range Elementary is closed a few years back. So all of them.
Any other comment? Seeing none, Mr. Kennedy, do you have any other items on your?
I would just say that there are some important dates in here, graduation dates, so you may want to make sure you go over that. Board meeting is at Hampton Elementary at 6 o'clock. There's going to be so many people, they wanted to open it up. That's important too if you're planning to attend. say, you know, we're still taking the field trips to visit the facilities. As he spoke with, there's lots of problems. If you're interested in seeing those, we'll keep you updated. We'll be doing another trip in April. We just have not set that date. We'll be setting that on, we have our next meeting, so. But I will read through those notes for sure. I won't stand up here and read them to you because it's late. But there are lots of great things happening in the schools. There's a bank at Unica now, Unica High School, so robotics coming into Happy Valley, lots of good stuff happening, but you can read through that on your own. And while I'm up here, the Board of Health, we actually had a meeting. I am actually a member. I know there was a big question on what was going there. Is there really a board? There really is a board. They meet once a year. And I'm on the board, the mayor's on the board, and Abby and I went to the meeting. It was very informative, lots of great things happening there. They will not be asking for an increase in their budget, which is impressive. The last 3 years, they've not asked for an increase. So they've got lots of renovations going on, lots of good programs out there too. So.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. Financial management, Ms. Holdren, do you have anything other than what's in your packet?
I would just like to say we'll address the issues that were brought up tonight. We care about every member of this county. We would not do anything to harm, so we'll get those questions answered and be back to you. I would say please come to the meetings if you do not have a daytime job. Please attend so that you'll know what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Keep in mind we have a special call session of the financial management on Wednesday, March the 20th at 8:30 in the morning in the mayor's conference room. That's for the purpose of reviewing, directing, completing an RFP for insurance. What's that? Insurance. Agent, not agent. Broker. I'm sorry. Any further? If none, health and welfare. Yes, ma'am.
The only thing in health and welfare that we have that's not reflected in the minutes is a Senate bill number 9, which is to prohibit smoking on any playground owned by local government. At this time, I guess I'd like to make a motion that we include ourselves in that House bill.
We know what the House bill and contents of.
Just that it is by ordinance to prohibit any smoking on any playground owned or operated by local government. It was presented by Knox County, and we would be able to join in the buy-in situation.
Yeah, you want me to add a little bit? Like she said, it's a bill currently before the Tennessee General Assembly. It was initiated on behalf of Knox County. It's an opt-in bill where each county or city has to opt in to be able to pass ordinances. So it isn't a prohibition on smoking per se. It gives us the ability to pass local regulations on smoking. And it's on playgrounds. Obviously, Carter County per se, it's not dealing with school playgrounds, so we really don't have that many to address, but certainly Elizabeth City could. But that's all it is giving us the ability to further regulate smoking on playgrounds, and if you don't opt in, you can't do it.
9.
And essentially, all they need from us is if the commission approves it, the mayor writes a letter asking our local representatives in the General Assembly to add this as an amendment from the floor so Carter County can do that. If we don't get this legislative session, obviously we're waiting a year.
Take a motion, does everybody understand it? The motion is to eliminate smoking on school grounds, Carter County. It ain't, well, then what is it?
I think the motion is for this body to vote that we can opt in to the pending legislation before the General Assembly to regulate smoking on playgrounds.
Opt in. Now it's under the vice Mr.
So the key word is that we could opt into this if we wanted to, if we include ourselves.
Right. What you're doing, if you approve it, you're opting into the ability to regulate smoking. So this is step one, step two is actually do it.
My favorite retired rocket scientist and park manager came to breakfast Saturday and discussed this with me for a while, and his question was, who enforces it, and, what is the scope of this thing? Up until that point, I felt like it was a no-brainer. So those were issues raised by my confidant and mentor as far as this goes.
Unless they change the law, I'm sure if you would correct me, the enforcement arm of smoking is the health department. Now, you know how many enforcement officers they have?
So we will put up some decorative signs.
Legislation was written.
Commissioner Grindstaff?
How many locations do we have in the county that would be impacted by it? Do you have an idea?
No, it doesn't include 3 big ones and 3 minors. Around that, we got the community park, and then we got, it's split into 2 sections, so that, we'll consider that one, and you have the Frisbee golf course, which is part of that, and you've got Happy Trail, which is part of that, and then you have Happy Trail, this is like a but anyways, you have Happy Trails, which is part of the Road Map Community Park, this is part of the linear park, and you have the whole Carter County Twisty Trail Extension would be, I mean, that's a long way.
Commissioner
Very
Frank?
hard to regulate.
Just want to point out that this is just to opt in to potentially pass legislation at another point. We're not deciding the ordinance or anything at this point.
Opt in.
With Parks and Rec and the way that they're doing stuff, I mean, it could be a lot more parks over time, but again, enforcement becomes nuts.
You would really,
The only thing I like that, I don't like smoking, but I think this is just government overreach. Agreed.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. To opt in. Do we have a second? Ms. Kent Collins, second. Do I have any further discussion? Mr. Von Cannon?
I'd like to amend the motion to include paper mapping as well.
That's
It's not our legislation to add.
It's not a health problem?
This is just an option, there's no law for us to opt into on there.
What about chewing? Yes.
All right, we still have a motion.
It's okay for the kids.
Question on the motion. Question has been on the motion. We'll vote on the question. All in favor, go ahead and vote on the question.
Miss Brown isn't here, she went out, so. Miss Brown went.
She went to smoke.
I can't, because they're already voted.
It is tempting. I have to say.
Does that count? That passed 13. Now, the motion to opt in is on the floor, has been seconded by Ms. Collins. We were voting on the call for the question.
We'll vote on that call for the question.
You call for the question, we have to vote in.
First call question. Discussion.
All right, discussion continues. Any more discussion? You either opted in or you opted out. You got one, it was called for the motion, you didn't pass, so you had to discuss it. So what are you gonna do? It's your clock, I'd say you're on.
You got a motion on the floor?
To opt in, yes.
Opt in. Do we have a second? We're in discussion. We wanted to amend it, but it's not accepted. So that's not standing on the floor.
I'll vote on the main motion.
I said it last time.
Chairman Thompson, I don't think everyone knew what they were voting on.
I doubt they still do. Any further discussion? If you're not going to discussion, we'll vote. Vote on it.
Now, just to make sure,
No, we'll get it. We've discussed it 50 times. Minister Jenkins, do you?
I was just joking, I swear.
Bill voted fails. Will not opt in.
No opting in.
No opted in, thank you. Highway Department, Mr. Von Cannon, anything other than in your report?
I don't know where we're going to wind up in the highway budget, but I do know that with the incidents in November, December, plus the flooding recently, Roger, would you say we're $1.5 million in the big hole based on where we would have been without the big rainfall from fiscal year July until now? We're somewhere in big problems. So he's looking for some sort of relief for the highway department. As evidence of this, in the last meeting, we had a group in from Warrior Lane. That bridge was untopped in the flooding of that got the ball field at Happy Valley High School. But the bridge above it on Toll Ridge Road was topped. So is this going to be a once in a 50-year occurrence? I don't know, but I tell you what to do. If you really want to look at rain events, pull up under rain events and you'll see that the odds are, based on what we've had, the odds are good that we're going to have more of it. So that's it. We had a group in also from Warpath, a group from Gap Creek. And I'm serious about the mitigation at the Gap Creek ball field, because they're going to have to do something, because that thing was out of control when I would have looked at the amount of rainfall or amount of water in Gap Creek. I just wanted to say that this is a hard-working group. And I do want to commend them for looking at situations in their own area. Because if you don't do that, you can't bring a good report to the committee. I thank you. And I do know that we passed out something concerning the underguard's address if you want to do a donation. I was impressed because this is not the first time I've seen him in action, but they did a great job with my brother. And he did a great job for us. 26 years in the Navy as CPO, Chief Petty Officer. You don't get there that easy, do you, at Profit? One other quick thing. Submarine Hunters was his deal, repairing sonar.
Mr. Von Cannon, this is on road department matters.
I'm sorry, sir. I just went through something that all of you will go through at some point. Appreciate your
Landfill, Ms. Collins?
Pretty much in the minutes, except I do want to tell you that if you'll notice in the minutes, he spent $3,700 on 2 trucks, $1,850 per truck. He put one of them down to Elizabeth and Star. He picked up the paper this week. He took the paper from Elizabeth and Star, sold it, $1,200 for the first week, so I think he's doing a good job.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Nominating already before us. Rules and bylaws, Commissioner Jenkins?
Everything's in the minutes.
Everything's in the minutes. Looking at the list on the right-hand side, the only one I see maybe have some is the Planning Commission, Director Schuler. Do you have anything other than once again your Planning Commission minutes?
No, sir, next meeting, next following Tuesday on the 22nd.
All right. Move forward. Next thing, County Attorney report.
Yes, sir. Just to hit the high points, the main thing most recently was the delinquent tax sale that we had just this past Friday. We sold 34 parcels on the actual sale day, and all were sold. The county didn't have to bid on any. But actually, in the last month leading up to the sale, we actually had a little over 100, or right at 100, pay out delinquent property taxes, which obviously is great. The actual total on the auction day was $324,254.41. However, the vast majority of that is overages that we may ultimately get back after they go to the state and unclaimed funds. We actually collected in property taxes for the month of March to date right at $49,000. That's directly paid to the county. The litter cases, some of y'all may have saw in the paper, we got judgments on 5 of those parcels. There's 12 additional complaints on different parcels in the works that we're working court judgment on, so that's moving forward. The rest of it is in my report. You can read it in the minutes unless you have any questions.
Anybody has any questions? Not further, on Commissioner's comments. Commissioner Garland.
Real fast, just want to thank the landfill committee. They were cleaning up the Blue Hole this past weekend, Saturday. They brought a big roll back trailer, which sadly we basically filled it up. That thing, as long as it's room. Had a lot of help. Mayor was there. Ginger couldn't be there. Dr. Acuff was there. Vice Chairman from the City Council. 25 plus concerned citizens. Some people showed up for it. Just unfortunate that mess is there. So, thank Benny, he brought I'm sure they picked it up.
Any other comments from Commissioner?
I have one thing, please. We might want to go to take minutes. To finish up a little bit of business from earlier, I'd like to make a motion about the joint Cat Creek Park that we talked about earlier, the joint membership. I'd like to make a recommendation for that board or for that committee if you guys will have it. All right, so what I had in mind was one member from us, one member from City Council, one member from county, planning, one member from city planning, one member from Parks and Rec, and one member from at-large from that district. That suits the board. I will. Let's get to there first. That's seven.
One from commission, one from each one of the planning. That's 4 total.
No, and one from each of the Parks and Rec.
Back up. Did you say planning, one from each?
One from
Okay,
each.
now you want one from?
Each Parks and Rec. No, it's seven. I've got one more. I said it. So the one at large, I think should be a member from that district, just public. Just a public. Somebody from that district. Member at large, that'd be seven. That's all I know. I think that takes minutes.
Is that the 8th district?
I think it's seven. Yeah.
It borders the 8, it's 7.
And it's 7 people on that board, how about that?
Okay. You're presenting this in the form of a motion instead of a recommendation?
Put it in the form of a motion.
Mr. Frazier?
I'll give it a second.
Frazier has a second.
And that should be appointed by each of those individual boards and offices.
Any discussion? Not Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we may have to go through a different route on what I like to see.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. Is it within means of this motion?
Yeah, I just want to kind of specifically put this all under the plan. That's what I like to do, do it under the plan. This board under its plan.
I think what Parks and Rec is asking for a board, and I'm pretty sure Mike was in agreement with that.
Independent of
Independent.
county and city.
Right, but
It's not one all entity making the decision.
And you want to put that under the county, our county planning?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
this seems a little early, possibly. I think this would probably come from the negotiations that we just approved for the guys to enter into with the city.
I mean, it's our side of the negotiation.
Right.
It's a suggestion.
I don't know that I would go in with I think I would let the negotiators handle the details of the board and the admin and all of it. It's way early in the process right here.
Commissioner Gladys?
It's an order.
Do it more?
Can he do what he can do?
Making a motion?
Yeah.
Well, sure he's a commissioner. Do we have any other discussion? Second thing is, the question that I have, Mr. Jenkins, is who you going to tell this to? Who are we going to tell this to?
Who you going to tell this to?
Yeah, they're not in negotiation yet, so who are we going to?
Well, how can we get into negotiations if we don't have?
Well, maybe between Park and Recs, I don't know, it's what my question to you.
We've got something somewhere.
We've named the parts to it, and we made the recommendation to them. Who is them?
It's them.
Yes.
It's all those entities I just said.
Maybe I just explain myself.
I would think the original group's gonna be the one with the checkbook, the city and city council.
That's who we
Some form of
answer to.
commission will be the one negotiating what kind of money we're gonna spend or if we're gonna spend.
Okay, I figured that, but where does this fit in?
This is what Parks and Rec just asked us to do. They said.
Well, I understand that. But look, you want me to go out there and go tell the city, find who do I go tell?
Well, tell city council and city planning. What do you think?
Need a request to those boards that
Our
negotiation team such as this.
Commissioner Grindstaff?
Just a recommendation, county commission.
Just a quick question.
Is it in line with what we're discussing right now? If it ain't, forget it.
Because it sounds, I think it is. My question is, we did pass the motion to allow, in my opinion, we said to enter into two negotiations. We were never really specific about who was entering into what negotiations. But my understanding was that our county Parks and Rec would enter into negotiations with the city Parks and Rec to try to bring this forward. I kind of second Mike Hill that we're a little early, and I think that our negotiators should be the one to, between the two, come up with how the board should be presented.
That was my thought. My thought line is because you're not, this is far more advanced than where we're at.
I can recant.
Do you want to,
I will retake my motion. I'll take it.
okay, no. Any further, Mr. Mayor?
One last thing. This is an advisory committee. This is not Park and Rec department. It's an advisory committee. And the city has a department. I just thought if we put this under planning, then we kind of have a department, that have a department, and we have somebody under the county, you know, right under the county, to answer to us. That's who does the answer to. Does the answer to our city, who the answer to our county?
Yeah, what we're talking about is the actual governance or the operation of a joint city-county park. Our county park and rec and the city park and rec came up with a joint operating agreement about a year ago. And that came, they sent that to me, they sent that to Roger David City, there were comments made, and that was scrapped. So I believe that the approach now is that they're going to reconvene with those negotiations and submit something that will be reviewed by myself and Mr. Day for City County and come before you all to set up whatever board is going around and operate the park. So I do think we're a little early, and that'll come whenever they get to negotiation on what they're saying they're willing to do. So I think we're a little early.
All right. Any other commissioner wish to make comments?
I just want to
Commissioner Logan. Either one.
Chairman, thank you. It's been wonderful to have you here tonight, Mr. Johnson. Do you anticipate being here next month? Will you be present at our meeting? Any others?
I told my circumstances on the 25th of this month, I go before a team of surgeons to give me a date of when they're going to beautify this body. Correct. I don't know what that lady is. They said, I asked them, since they have such good clay to work with, how long it's going to take them to remold it and get it back on my feet. I don't know. Huh? I heard that.
Well, I had a reason for asking, just so everybody can be thinking about it or whatever. And if I'm out of line, I'm sure you all will tell me. But with the health of both our chair and our vice chair, is it legal and do we want to consider like a permanent substitute if both of our men are unable to be here?
Well, according to the rules, the next in line behind the vice chair is the county clerk. So there's your next person. Now, she can, let's see, you may want to address that.
Well, what we did last month was Ms. Gooch called the meeting to order, and then we immediately held a vote for an interim chair to run the meeting. So if you wanted to have a third option going forward, you could elect an alternate vice chair in the absence of chair and vice chair, who would automatically be the chair if you two both were absent. And that would avoid that interim step.
And that's a great topic because that, more than likely, that's going to happen.
Mr. Chairman, we elected,
Hang on just a minute, Mr. Jenkins. Go, Ron.
we elected Mr. Garland
For last month.
last month.
Okay, but that don't extend month to month. Mr. Jenkins.
Well, I mean, since we're talking about that, can we go ahead and do it? Can I go ahead and put that form of motion?
I'll second it.
And, well, wait, we didn't pick who it was yet. Did we say it? I just want to make sure, I'm saying Mr. Garland. And that was, you got a second. I say amen.
Mr. Garland sounded you're welcome, as I recall.
What's the verdict?
I was thinking that nobody was there.
I hadn't heard nothing. Stand up, Mr. Jenkins, and tell me what in the world you want.
Sir, in the event that the chair and the vice chair is both out at the same time, I would recommend or nominate Mr. Ross Garland to sit in as chair, our alternate chair.
And I
For that
say
evening,
that.
or for that meeting.
As the
Lucky him.
Let's vote on it.
Vote on it.
There you go. Mr. Chair, do we have a second?
Ms. Brown.
Okay, we have now discussion, Mr. Cameron.
Chair, as long as you're sitting there as chairman now, you think it should be Mary Gooch's position, if you're not sitting in the chair, that's her next step, is to stand up, take over, and then put in aspects to the vote board.
That is the order we have, the procedures call for.
Mr. Campbell, I just want to say that I thought it would be good if that person would know in advance that they had to prepare an agenda and prepare for that meeting. Thank you.
You can set your own rules in here, you know that. I mean, that's not illegal, but it's legal. We'll find out. You make it on a resolution, on a motion, and it passes, it goes in the books.
Are y'all telling me this needs to go to rules and bylaws?
Question on the motion.
Question on the motion. I won't recognize that, Connie. We have a motion and we have it in second. No more discussion? Thank you, we will vote. We vote on the question. We're not waiting, I want to recognize the question. Discussion was in, chair did not recognize the question. Y'all vote again.
No later than 8:30 vote.
Ayes 22 nothing. Commissioner Garland, we have some for the chair. Is there any other? Go ahead, Mr.
Oh,
Jenkins.
no, you told me to stand up.
Well, you were down here below the table.
I made a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Garland.
I was going to, by all means, thank you, everyone, for that decision right there, to support me on that. I hope that I don't have to be there at all. I hope that you are there, or Mr. Ray Lyons, either one of them, they don't have to be there.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Adjourn.